possession. I know you appreciate this, Greg. So much of defense now is closing out on the three-point shooting and then protecting the rim. Consequently, pull-up jump shooters are super valuable. And there are a lot of good ones in the NBA right now.
No doubt about it. And Kevin, you think about James Harden. Back three, but he's a guy that, because of his ability to utilize your inability to defend that three-pointer, Kyrie, Dame Lillard, those are some guys. Chris Paul still as good as anybody in that mid-range area. CJ McCollum. These are guys that have really feasted and carved out a nice niche for themselves in the NBA because of that ability to take and make jump shots.
And I love that list. Look, there's the 24-second shot clock violation, so they'll turn it over. Is Love with the ball for Cleveland. Pass to Junior. Latrey. There is the long-range jumper.
Darius Garland playing the role of ball distributor to perfection. Pretty pass.
And the foul called on Junior. That is his fourth. Here's Galloway. 12 points his last outing. And now disco per minute play here in the first. Dripping shot is off. Cleveland's gone 1-2 from long range in the first quarter.
And last season's trade deadline, Andre Drummond traded away basically for a second-round pick. A shockingly low return for a guy who was once considered a franchise player.
Up left to the wing. Pistons passing it around. Here's McRae, defended by Sexton. Takes it inside from downtown. They get it again from the defender's hole.
That was special. My goodness.
And look at Drummond, capable of rising up and dropping an absolute hammer.
Now here's Griffin. Coming off a 21-point game his last outing. Shot clock at 6. To end the run. Detroit, no good that time either.
You will not see this guy miss many of those. He's one of the keys to their floor spacing. Boy, 9 times out of 10, that's going in. I'm sure he surprised himself with the miss.
Here's Galloway. Looking at his numbers, he averages a bit over 9 points a game. Here we go. It is good.
And, you know, it took them a while to get going, but they finally connected now on their fourth shot of the game.
Cleveland leading by 6. Garland, the pass to Love. Nice concentration here, the double clutch layup.
And instead of just trying to draw the foul, Love maintains his focus despite some stiff defense. Great hands, great body control, allowing him to get it done.
Singletary. Second chance effort. He lays it in.
Second chance points always hurt. There's not enough effort to block out.
No doubt those extra possessions can really add up against you when you do not take care of the defensive glass.
And Drummond is right there. This is the offensive glass.
Someone got caught out of position. Help was on the way.
Now 8 seconds separate the two blocks. Griffin kicks to Brown. Here's McHydro. Out to Mark there with a three-point shot. Outside, Sexton.
So far, these guys have done a fantastic job finding the opening man and getting some easy baskets.
Well, they've established their presence in the paint tonight.
Cleveland leading by 15. So on the floor for Cleveland. You got Zizic. Colin Sexton is out there with Hardaway. Then it's Junior. And it's Love in at the four-man position. Frank, one of your former teammates, John Starks, would get under a guy's skin on the court. He's like a nuisance, but really opposite off the court, away from the game.
I tell you, Ken, John's got a heart of gold. Anybody that knows him is going to be a fan of the person. John is as genuine as I can ever recall having.
He has a chance now to cancel for the fourth member of our crew, Hall of Famer, Hip-Hop.
Whatever shot he wanted out there. It was just his night. The effort he put forth is what allowed him to have such a good game. Kevin, see if he can do that again tonight.
After the report, David, you have to love the energy he brought that last game.
Yeah, he was the team's driving force, and tonight, maybe more of the same.
Well, I think what he has shown is when they send two in his direction, he is willing to make the pass and trust his teammates to make plays. So critical.
Plus 8 in the rebound differential. One more reason why they're in control.
And it's Junior missing.
Gotta credit the defense. They found a way to stop him, and that's never an easy task.
McRae passes to McHydro. And it's Junior with the rebound.
Boy, defense nowhere to be found.
Jr. He's coming off a 13-point game against Chicago. To Hardaway. It's up a three. The offensive rebound. Zizic passes to Jr. Well, it's only a matter of time that they finally get the bucket.
And they're beginning to just flat out fall apart. Right now, especially on the interior.
Griffin with it. And he makes that one.
It was all about his athleticism when Griffin first came into the league, but it didn't take long to see he was about a lane.
Pistons trail by 13. John Henson out there with Griffin. And there's McRae and Galloway in the point. That's the good for Detroit right now. Andre Drummond grabs the miss.
They've shown some strength in the paint today. Their work on the board has been impressive.
Drummond sets the screen for Jr. Finding
Well, you better look out now because Junior's in rhythm and he's going to be and has been a problem.
And for players like Andre Drummond, sometimes it's a paradox. Great individual rebounding doesn't always translate into great team rebounding.
That almost sounds very counterintuitive, right? Because you wonder, is it a lack of boxing out? So if they don't get it, an opponent does. What is clear unequivocally, though, there is more to team success than individual numbers.
and Drummond gives to Jr. And he tries again and foul on the shot. You gotta go start playing defense, didn't you? Okay, my boy. Hey, go on, me, son.
That's Junior.
Riley's checked in for Jordan McRae. And he's also making a change. Nancy's checked in for Kevin Love. Now, Greg, when you were in New York, you were on a super team of sorts. Compare that to the super teams they're forming now in the NBA.
Oh, we've always had super teams. And this misnomer that this is something that's just come about with this era is, to me, absurd. We've always had it. The difference nowadays is I think the players have more say in what they say. And they do. That he was also eager to show that there was more to his game.
Blake Griffin hits them both. And you know, great in the pass.
make sure it was real. What's happening? Oh, hey. That's fucking ridiculous. Wow. Can you see me?
So what did Dearness and the do so well Sunday?
Well, I think we had the right idea, the right scheme against those guys. They're very aggressive, and we took advantage of their aggressiveness. I thought we blocked it up very well. Both those returns were blocked well. The first one, they took the backside safety or the return side safety as we look at it, and they brought them over a little bit further than they normally would have, and that really helped worked to our advantage. And I thought that was a very well blocked return. The guys did a good job. Dearness ran hard and got out to the 45. That got the momentum going, got the sideline going, and we went down and made it 7-3. So I thought that was a huge play for us. And the second one, we've all been on, including his teammates, have been on Dearness all week long. He should have kept that outside. And it was another very well blocked play. And we talk about hitting the seam, hitting the sideline. If he hits the sideline, he might go another 15 yards. So, and our offense did a great job and took advantage of that good field position, went down and kicked the field goal. So there were two big plays for him.
Thanks, Scott. Jeff Shadell, you have our next question.
Hey, Mike, could you just give us a good summary of the Titans' special teams, especially the return game?
So their kickoff returner, 13 Batson, he's very, very quick. He's one of those guys that if you're out of control at the point of attack, and I've been telling our guys all week, if you're out of control at the point of attack, he's going to make you miss, pure and simple. And number 14, Randall's done a nice job as a kickoff returner earlier in the year, and as their punt returner, he's averaged over 9 yards a return. He had a 40-yarder earlier in the year. He's another guy that's going to try to stretch the field on us and try to get to the outside. We've got to do a great job of leveraging those guys. Overall, I know their coach is a really good young coach, Greg Ackerman. Brett Kern's been a fantastic directional punter for years and years. In the Pro Bowl a couple times, I believe. Steven Gostkowski settled down earlier in the year. He had some misses, got a couple blocked, and settled down and done a nice job. Was made 4 and 5 at the end of the game where either did the tie or win. So, and they play hard. They got guys, they take on their personality of their head coach. He was a tough guy. He was a tough guy when he plays, a tough guy as a coach. And that kind of trickles down to all three of the phases, OD and special teams. So, that's the thing, the message I'm bringing to our guys, that we got to match or surpass their intensity. We got to get after them.
Thank you, Jeff. Dan Lobby, you're next.
Hey, Coach, how has Donovan kind of handled getting taken off kick return? And, it kind of looked on Sunday like he was sort of leading the way on those big returns blocking. So how has he handled that?
Like a pro. He's an amazing young man. I'm proud of him. That's hard for a young player who came in as we drafted him to be a returner. And when JoJo went down, he came up, took over both. And I think Dearness provided a little bit of juice for us on kickoff return last week, and that was very evident. And Donovan was a big part of that. He did a great job lead blocking. He blew up the kicker on the one. That was a great block. Allowed us to get another 10, 12 yards, and then the the second one, he did a nice job as well. You just got to take advantage of that blocking, like I said earlier, get outside, get another 10, 15 yards. But he's a pro. He's a backup gunner. And we can use him as a 1 or a 2 on kickoff if we need him to. He's done a great job on offense because he knows all 3 spots. You talked to Coach O'Shea about how well the young man knows the offense at such a young age. So he's been a very valuable part of our football team. I'm glad we have him.
Thank you, Dan. Tom Withers, you're up.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks, Mike. Hey, Mike, it seems so rare that you see a long kickoff or punt return anymore. I mean, it seems like in the old days, you'd see one much more often than you do now. What would be the reason for that? Is it better schemes on coverage? Better athletes? What do you think leads to some of that?
I think one of the reasons on kickoff is the rule change. You only have three guys deep, so if these guys get by those front 8, the 8 guys that are in setup zone, they have more of an opportunity to make plays. And return teams are doing a good job of trying to scheme and do some different things to take away that aggressiveness. But we had some issues earlier in the year. I think we've done a better job lately. When that will help our defensive some of these punters, like you look at the punter we're going against, Brett Kern, it's a phenomenal directional punter. Even though he doesn't always get great hang time, if you put a 52-yard punt that's 4 remains outside, you got to get running that side. Even if you vice him up and he does a nice job getting down there, you're not going to get very far. So I think in our stadium it's tougher for punters and kickers to do some of that stuff, but because of the wind and weather that we've had this year. But I think that's part of it. The punting and the directional punting and the kickoff return type of rules have limited a little bit. Plus, people are kicking a lot of touchdowns too. They want to deal with their. Sometimes I was very stubborn. Obviously, early there, you guys saw that. We talked about that. You're challenging teams early, and we kind of backfired on us a little bit. We've settled down and kick touchbacks when we need to, and our guys are recovering a lot better too. So I'm excited about the last 5 weeks and continue improving in all areas.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Tony Grossi has the next question.
All right. Mike, I know what you said about Tennessee, but 2 of their 3 losses were the direct result of special teams breakdown. I know Kern was out for the one game where they had a disaster. Do you believe there are some vulnerabilities there, or have they patched those out?
I think losing Brett Kern hurt them a lot. And they had 2 different punters come in there and try to shore it up. And, the one punter they had him unblocked. It wasn't his fault on the block, but he had shanked one for 15, 20 yards the one before. I think anytime you lose a guy like Brett Kern, it really hurts obviously their punt team and their field goal team too. And they had some good issues earlier. They replaced the snapper as well. So I think they've shorted up. Again, that's really they're well coached. I want to say, Tony, I'm very surprised you're asking special teams questions. You don't need to go deep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. It went wrong.
I was messing with you, Tony, because you never ask special teams questions. I think you've asked maybe 1 or 2 all year. I'm just messing with you. Saying that you don't like special teams.
It's a scheduling conflict, but today I avoided.
Oh, of course. I get it. You don't miss any O&D stuff, though. I'm only kidding.
Thanks for noticing.
Thanks, Tony. Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Hey, Mike. I want to ask you about the big picture, where the team is at right now, and just how far it's come since every year playing the Titans last season. What kind of a big picture mindset do you have about where you guys are now?
I think this team handles itself very well without looking at too far ahead. Last year, I think going into the season, everybody was talking playoffs and Super Bowl and all that stuff. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that any year, no matter how much you have your team. I think before I coach on down, everybody, this coaching staff and players, we approach each week differently. How do we win this game? How do we win this week? And what do we need to do offensively, defensively, and on special teams to beat the Tennessee Titans, for example? And that's been our main focus. And I think when you do it that way, you just go 1 week at a time. Coach it that way, you have much more chance of success. You don't get caught up in too much of the outside distractions and everything. So you're 8-3, going to play
a result of getting burned last year? Like the players coming back maybe learn from that? Or is it Kevin Stefanski getting everybody locked in, or is it a combination?
I don't know if a lot of the guys weren't here last year, or if they weren't playing as much on offense, defense, or even special teams. I think this is a brand new team, and our personnel guys have done a nice job of bringing in guys that are laser focused, that have an understanding how important every situation is, every different situation, every down and distance on offense and defense, every kicking, punting, field goal situation for special teams. So I do think that starts with the leadership at the top with Kevin, and it has trickled down to the staff. And I know him; I've known him a long time, and that's how we were both brought up in this business. And that's how I've learned it from Tom Coughlin to Jim Tressel to other guys that I've worked for as head coaches. So I've learned a lot over the years how important that focus is week by week by week. And you can't get caught up in all the other stuff. And I know the fans love that. And as a fan, I would have loved that. And I'm a big Cleveland Indian fan. I do the same thing as a baseball fan. But I think you're a coach or you're a player, you have to approach it one day at a time, one game.
Thank you, Nate. Scott Petrick, back to you.
Hey, Mike, I had another thing about Donovan I wanted to ask you. I think at the beginning of the year you talked about how his body is kind of meant for kickoff return, but he didn't have a lot of experience in that area. So is it the lack of experience that you think is kind of, causing the struggles and the reason you made the switch to Dearness, or is it more of a skill set?
I think he's still got a great skill set. He's a big, strong guy that can run. I think with him, we just needed a change for that return unit. And again, like I said, I put him on at halfback as more of a blocker. Plus, if they do kick it short, he's back there and he can handle those shorter type of kicks because he's a good ball security guy. And like I said, he's handled it like a pro. I think with experience, you will get better. And again, he doesn't have a lot of kickoff return experience, but not to make excuses for him. We should be better as a unit with him back there. It's not always his fault. We didn't always block him.
Since I was 5, I've definitely been saying I'm going to play in the NFL. No, it wasn't even a thought out of my mind that I wasn't going to the NFL. Don't know how I'm getting there, but I'm getting there. My first time ever hitting the dummy pad, man, and then coach come off good hit, and we slid. It was raining a little bit Saturday morning. I was 5, hit the pad, slid about 5 yards. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. I get to beat up on people and I get in trouble for it. Yeah, this is definitely fun. Me playing every position definitely made me love the game even more, though. Going to high school and playing running back, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, linebacker, and all that stuff, man. It was fun. It was fun. Me playing safety a few snaps to get to do it. I always had a thing about doing what the little people do on the field, so with the skinny guys, as I say, I like to call them.
Yeah, hey Kevin, can you kind of take us through the timeline this week in terms of Miles and his return for Sunday? What check marks he needs to hit?
Yeah, he was out there yesterday. Looked good to me. We're going to make sure that we're smart about how we get him back out there. So, but checking in with him yesterday, he looked really good. And then see how he looks today, and just keep an open dialogue with him.
At this point, is the expectation that he will play Sunday, barring any kind of setbacks?
Yes.
Thank you, Jake. Fred Greetham, you're up next.
Hey, Coach, any clarification on the 3 guys still on the list? And Tedrick Thompson, do you expect him to be available this weekend?
Yeah, the 3 guys on the COVID list, I don't have a final answer for you. I don't believe any of them will be practicing today. And then Tedrick Thompson remains to be seen in terms of his availability.
Thank you, Fred. Jeff Shadell, you have our next question.
Doing those COVID guys too, but Kevin, with practicing inside, I know you'd like to be outside. Is it hard to get all the work done on what obviously you have smaller field to work on?
I don't think it's harder to get the work done, Jeff. I think it probably impacts special teams the most because those are full field drills typically when you're talking about kickoff and kickoff return. But we adjust and say, all right, hey, the 50-yard line here, pretend it's the 30 or something like that. So we get our work done. I think we'll be able to get outside potentially tomorrow. Our guys do a great job. They've got the fields tarped. They're knocking the snow off the fields now, and it'd be great to get out there. But in the meantime, if that's not available to us, we get our work done inside.
you, Jeff. Scott Petrick will go to you.
Hey, Kevin, what have you seen from those Titans receivers, and do they make it tough? Yeah, I would think you'd want to devote as many guys as possible to Derrick Henry, but they kind of make it tough to do that.
Yeah, they're a balanced attack. They can hurt you multiple ways. That's a credit to their players, a credit to the scheme. They have multiple receivers that can catch and make you miss or get out in space. And so we got to stay tight in coverage. It's not a one-man show. We know how great Derrick Henry is, obviously. But they are a very balanced offense. We have to make sure that we're about our business in our run fits and in our pass defense.
Kind of following up on that, how impressive were those kind of different plays that A.J. Brown was able to make? The one where he knocked a bunch of guys over and then he runs away from guys the week after.
He's extremely impressive. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, has great hands, has a great route tree. Very, very tough player.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Tony Grossi, you're up.
First, Kevin, I wanted to know if your kids approved of our snowstorm the other day.
They approve of any snow day they can.
Okay. How does it measure up to Minnesota?
Definitely not as cold.
Okay.
Once it snows in October, it's there until about April.
Vrabel being, having played under Belichick, knows the importance of special teams, obviously. They've lost 2 games with special teams breakdowns. And I just wondered, your overall assessment of the impact you've gotten this season from your special teams. Has it been what you expected, less or more?
Yeah, I would say we're playing much better lately. I really think Coach Prefer and Coach Coleman do an outstanding job with that group. And I think guys have really stepped up in the second half of our season so far, I would say. So they got to continue to do so. We're getting contributions from a bunch of different players, but they understand how important it is. It's a 3-pronged attack: offense, defense, special teams. But we need our special teams to come through for us this week and for really every game.
We talked to Prefer about the rule changes have kind of lessened the impact of returns and kickoffs and all that. Do you think this season, and because of the rule changes, are special teams having the same impact as previous years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to study that, Tony. I mean, it is true that there's more touchbacks in the last few years than there had been previously out of player safety respect. But I don't know total if that's true. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Daryl Ryder has our next question.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to ask you about Ryan Tannehill and what's changed about his game since he's been with the Titans. It seems he got to Tennessee and has kind of done a 180 in his career.
I think you give credit to the player first and foremost. I think he appears to me he works very hard in his craft. He's very technically sound. Then I think just the scheme in which he's being utilized, the players that he has at his disposal, I think he's playing at a very high level. He's extremely accurate. He can hurt you in a bunch of different ways. He talked about his athleticism yesterday, so somebody that I have a lot of respect for.
Thanks, Daryl. Mary Kay Cabot has our next question.
Yeah, Coach, when you have Myles Garrett out on the field on Sunday and Andy as well, will you guys have your medical personnel having to kind of monitor them, keep an eye on them? Will they be on somewhat of a pitch count, or how might that go?
Yeah, I think we're doing that right now, Mary Kay, in terms of they're out there on the practice field for the first time in a while, seeing how they're responding. We'll do the same today, see how they come through these few days of practice, but very positive after yesterday.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Nate Ulrich, you're up next.
I was actually going to ask how Andy Janovich yesterday. You're encouraged by him as well?
Yeah, Andy looked great. He's excited to get out here. He's been, if you know Andy, he's been excited to put the pads back on and he's ready to go help us in any way he can.
Shifting gears for a second, Kevin Johnson playing in a larger capacity for you guys with Denzel out. How do you think he fared the other day this past weekend? And what do you look forward to seeing from him in this matchup coming up?
Yeah, I thought he was competitive in a bunch of moments. He he's always going to fight and give you everything he has. He made a few plays. He's the type of player where he's got versatility, where you can play him inside and outside. Studies like crazy, understands the game plan, so somebody that we're counting on.
Thank you, Nate. Tom Withers, you're up.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Coach. I know the reverence, if that's the right word, you have for Jarvis and the way he carries himself on and off the field, and I know you don't necessarily value him in terms of production with what he does in terms of stats, but what does it mean, Kevin, to have him have kind of that breakout game that we've all been expecting him to have now that he's healthy and doing his thing?
Yeah, I think it's important for Jarvis to have a game like that, and we expect that from him. I mean, we know what he's capable of. Now that he's healthier, I should say, he's continuing to get better and better, and he will find a way to affect the game. He has the uncanny ability to make tough catches, and they typically result in first downs. And that's a very big deal for what we're looking for.
And just in terms of he and Baker, kind of reestablishing that good connection that they've had in the past, what does that mean for the offense just in general?
Yeah, those guys have a ton of banked reps together, so I have a lot of confidence in their rapport and what they're able to do. And again, it's something that we're counting on Jarvis in those big moments. And great to see the other day, and now we're hoping that that's something that we see really every game going forward.
Thank you, Tom. Back to Daryl Ryder.
Coach, we've had to talk a lot this year about COVID and just the impact that it's had on schedules and the game and whatnot. I wanted to ask you about the impact that the virus might have on future evaluation of players. Guys that got the virus. Do you anticipate that it'll be treated like you're looking at an evaluation of a guy who tore an ACL or a tendon or something like that? Going forward, how much of a concern from evaluation / medical standpoint will this virus have evaluating guys going forward?
Daryl, I really don't know the answer to that. I would tell you that I don't see it affecting our evaluations of our players, but medical staff can probably answer that better in terms of is there a longer effect that maybe I'm not totally aware of, but I don't see that right now.
Thank you, Daryl. Mary Kay Cabot, you're up.
Just in terms of the way that you guys have used Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt this season, a lot of us were curious about, would you have them on the field together a ton? But you haven't really done that all that much. Is the method to that madness keeping them super fresh so that you guys can hit them with that 1-2 punch in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, a little bit. I think both of them have versatility, Mary Kay, so they can do different jobs. We can have them on the field at the same time. We did that last week for at least one play that I can think of. So we're looking to grow that package at times, but like you said, it's also nice to have one in, one out, and a fresh guy coming in when that guy goes in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. We have time for three more. Nate Ulrich, Tony Grossi, Jane Slater. Nate, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin. When we were talking to Mike Prefer earlier, he was talking about the big picture view of this team, having been here last year, and he said, people were talking playoffs and all this stuff, Super Bowl, and you can't do that no matter how talented you are. And I was thinking about how Jimmy Haslam in August said that we kind of learned a lesson as an organization about managing expectations better. I know you weren't here last year, but this year, how much of a focus was that for you to change the culture in that way and to make sure guys adopted the mindset and the focus week to week like you always talk about?
Yeah, Nate, I don't think I came in here or any of our coaches came in here to change the culture. We just established our own, and we just kind of explained what we're about, what we believe in. And I think, to the players' credit, I think we have a bunch of guys that believe in the same things and want to help the team any which way they can.
So, you couldn't get guys on the field until August. You could talk to guys. So, was that, part of, your off season, establishing your culture that you always talk about? How much time you spent on that? What were those kind of conversations all about?
Yeah, I think that's important for any new staff that comes in to establish what they're all about. But culture, that buzzword gets thrown around a lot, and I just think it's people. And I'd give Andrew Berry a ton of credit for the people he brought in here, via trade, free agency, the draft. I think you bring in the right people, all of a sudden you got the right culture.
Thanks, Nate. Tony Grossi.
Hey, Kevin, on Monday, Daryl Hodge had his first Zoom call of the year, and out of it came a headline quote saying the Titans, I don't think they're Super Bowl, a super team or something like that. I'm not sure how the legs of that quote, but knowing Vrabel, it's probably in their locker room. So I wondered, was it enough for you to speak to him about it? And in general, where do you come out on locker room quotes?
Yeah, I'll always keep any interactions I have with the players internal, Tony. But I'll just tell you, I support our players. I'm not the thought police. I'm not going to tell them what to think, but I do make sure that they understand what's important is how we work. And we're not about bluster. We're about just making sure we put our work.
Are you the kind of coach that grabs quotes to inspire your team?
Always. You're always looking for anything you can get your hands on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Our final question goes to Jane Slater.
Hey, Coach. I apologize if either one of these got answered of you. I'm struggling with the internet today. But following up on Nate's question, I cover the Cowboys and obviously first-year coaching staff down here, and it's not easy to replicate what you guys are doing there in Cleveland. Following up on, you were talking about establishing your culture and the buy-in. How did you do that? Was that phone calls to certain guys? Is that checking in with them once a week? I imagine it's a bit of a challenge when position groups can't do those team dinners. How are you getting this culture to buy in and with this first-year coaching staff get what you're trying to implement?
Well, Jane, I just tell you it's a process, and it's not one thing, and it's not something that you do in April and you put a check mark next to it and said, all right, we established our culture. So I just think it's a constant thing about making sure that our players understand what we're all about. I think I'm really, really lucky in having a bunch of great coaches that are teachers, that push our guys, that coach them hard. And I think all of that leads to playing solid football, and hopefully that leads to winning.
One more quick follow-up for you. When you obviously weren't here last year, but when you pop in Derrick Henry's tape and you look at what he's been able to accomplish this year, I think we're all looking forward to a good run game. But where have you seen his game develop? And is there anything that you saw from last year in the way they were able to limit him that you can apply to this game?
Yeah, I don't know about last year applying to this year, Jane, but I'll tell you, he's a supremely talented running back. He can hurt you in a bunch of different ways, and I think they just do a nice job in total as an offense. All 11 guys have a hand in making that run game go.
Yeah, hey, Alex. Baker's it seems like he's been really effective at drawing defenses off sides this year. You probably have the advantage as well of, the crowd noise not being as big a factor as it usually is. Is that something you've worked with him? And then just relative to your experience working with quarterbacks over the years, what ability does he have, does he bring in terms of getting you those extra 5 yards and potentially 3 plays?
Yeah, no, he's been really good. As an offense, we really believe in cadence variation. We're trying to keep defenses off balance. If you get it offside, that's great. But you're also in your head all game long. That's what cadence is going on, so they can't jump the count. It comes down to voice inflection. Just getting into a rhythm, kind of low on the defense's sleep, using the cadence variation offside. So, I thought Aaron Rodgers was really good at this. I learned a lot from him. And Baker just is taking it as a challenge to get defenses offside. So he's done a great job.
Thank you, Jake. Daryl Ryder has our next question.
Hey, Coach, we saw Baker make some tough throws Sunday in Jacksonville, but he also missed a couple of, quote-unquote easy ones, especially the one to Kareem on third down and then Rashard Higgins in the end zone. What are your coaching points on something like that? Is there something you saw in Baker's mechanics on those throws or whatever, and what do you tell him, to maybe get him over his own self-criticism?
Don't overanalyze it. That's the biggest thing. You know, it happens. We made 4, 5, 6 different throws in that game that were big time throws, tight windows down the field with great accuracy. And then he missed, like you said, a couple easy ones. He obviously said that as well. You just don't overanalyze it. It's part of the game. You're going to miss them. You know, guys are going to have drops that are in their hands. We're going to miss throws to guys that are open. So that's just part of the game. Not dwelling too much into it, trying to overanalyze and have it become a mental thing. At that point, just throw it to the guy who's open, throw it to him. Very simple coaching.
Thank you, Darryl. We'll go to Tom Withers.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Coach. A couple of those tight throws you talked about went to Jarvis Landry, who had about as clutch a game as you can have last week. What does it mean for this offense, Alex, to have him, produce like that? I know you don't always look at his stats necessarily. He does so many things out there, but to him to have that kind of a big game for you guys.
It was huge. You know, he came up big for us time and time again. Critical catches, tough contested catches. You know, his hand strength really showed up there. Really strong hands at the point. And that's something that we got to find more ways to get him involved because obviously he can take over a game like he did the other day.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tom. Dan Lobby, you're up.
Hey, Coach. One of the things you guys have been really good at this year is at the end of the first half, you get the ball with 4 minutes, you kind of run it down and you get points. What do you think is the key to being able to do that so consistently?
I think it's every drive that we go out there with the mindset that we want to possess the ball, take it down the field, and score. I don't think there's any more emphasis put on it than any other drive, to be honest with you. It's just the way it's unfolded this year for us. When you defer in the first half, you get a chance to score at the end of the half, and you come out and get the ball in the second half. That can potentially be a 14-point difference. So there is a little bit of emphasis on just the fact that we want to score before the half, going back and defer. But every mindset, every drive, we have that mindset. Possess the ball, long drives, get their own third down, and finish the inside.
But there's nothing like in the back of your mind thinking, hey, if we get this down to the 2-minute warning, we can kind of do what we want after that.
Yeah, no, there's definitely clock management that comes in. And I thought Coach and Ryan did a great job of managing the clock. When do you huddle? When do you decide to really shift in the 2-minute there and get in the line of scrimmage? You obviously want to score with leaving them as little time as possible.
Thanks, Dan. Next is Scott Petrie.
Hey, Alex, I wanted to ask you about Nick Chubb a little bit. He said when he first came back from that injury, he was knocking the rust off. Do you think he's 100% back to 100%, or there's still a little bit of room to go to get where he was before the injury?
I hope there's room to go, but I think he's pretty much 100% in my eyes right now. The things he does on the field. I'm sure he was knocking rust off when he first came back, but if there's more to give, I can't wait to see it. Really proud of Nick and the way he's come back from that and produced for us.
And we're so focused on the Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb aspect of this game. Do you think Nick takes any extra motivation in being on the same field as the guy that beat him for the rushing title last year?
Possibly. But he's not playing against Henry, against that Titans defense. That's kind of how the approach has to be. The mindset. Is there extra motivation? No, I think he wants to be great every game. This one's no different.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Jeff Shadell has our next question.
Coach, another bigger question. I don't think he's thrown a pick since that Cincinnati game. What has been the key to him doing that for 4 games now?
It's really a mindset. I think we do talk about it. We don't talk a lot about it because I think you put that out there, it can backfire on you. But just really the mindset. I'm not going to turn the ball over. He's really grasped that now in the last 4 or 5 weeks. You can make that decision. You ultimately make the final decision of where the ball goes, who it goes to, and then where that location of that ball is thrown. Just understanding the importance of turnovers, giveaways, how that's a big part of our success is not turning the football over. And I think he's really grasped that now and understands how important it is to come away from a game with no interceptions or no turnovers. We're going to be in a position at the end. And I think now he really understands that.
Thank you, Jeff. Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Andy Janovich coming back. It's not easy for most fans to look at the stat line and pinpoint exactly what you guys missed without him. So, what does he bring? What do you guys get back with Andy Janovich being back?
Yeah, no, he's a very good fullback, lead fullback, and to be able to have somebody that leads for that position in the back to just gives you different aspects of the run game. Really, a lot of the single back stuff that we've done has been very productive, obviously, but to have another guy back there that can kind of lead the way from running backs is crucial. A lot of teams don't face a true fullback, so linebackers having to fit a fullback leading on them is a little bit different than playing some combinations with the offensive line. So it gives you another variable there in the run game. He's a big part of that. And also, he catches the ball extremely well in the back.
Hey, we talked to Jack Conklin yesterday, and he said that he's fired up to play. A lot of friends, and he'd go back to a place where he had a lot of memories. Do you sense that from him this week? And what kind of season has he put together in his first one with Cleveland?
He's outstanding. I haven't really felt that excitement in him going back yet. Not really around the guys enough under the protocols to really get that feel. But he's been a big part of our success. He's really solidified that right side. He is a true pro. Approaches it the right way. He's a very good player on that right side. He's been great for us. So great job by him, as we expect him to come in and play this spot on the right side.
Thanks, Dave. We have time for 3 more. Mary Kay Cabot, Tony Grossi, Scott Petrick. Mary Kay, go ahead.
In terms of Baker not throwing the picks, how is he doing at striking that balance between not throwing them and maintaining his aggressiveness and his swagger that he's known for?
Yeah, that's always the question, Mary Kay. To be honest with you, Aaron Rodgers, the same thing in Green Bay. He gets criticized at times for not taking chances, but at the end of the day, you look at the turnover ratio again and how critical that is to team success. We're going to be aggressive. He's going to make the right decisions. It's finding that balance, as you say, of when to take that risk. And that changes throughout the course of the game. You can be down 10 points late in the game. You're going to have to fit some balls in there that you may not do it early. Just understanding the importance of, again, not turning the ball over is critical. I would gladly take a 5-yard gain over a 20-yard chance of an interception. That's the concept of the team.
Is that something that Ryan Tannehill's really doing a nice job with this year? Not that you're looking at that side of the ball.
I haven't been, yeah, but the guys that take care of the ball generally you see winning records on those teams. That's the case throughout the history of football. You turn it over and put yourself in position.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Tony Grossi.
Hey, Alex, Vrabel's team definitely has some pass rush issues. It's an issue in Tennessee with, around that team. 2 of their guys went belly up easily in Clowney. But it hasn't brought about a downfall, that's for sure. So how have they compensated? Are they doing things in the back end to compensate?
Yeah, no, that's a really good defense scheme-wise. They're very multiple. They're going to give you multiple fronts in the base packages and multiple disguises in the back end, in your sub package. So very good challenge. The pressure packages, they're multiple as well. Different front spacings, different looks. So really is for us is communication of understanding each pressure package, how they attack the offense, and how we can defend them in pass protection. They do a really nice job. It's going to be a good challenge.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Our final question for Coach Van Pelt goes to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Alex, have you guys used your running backs in the pass game as much as you might have anticipated before the start of the season?
They do a whole heck of a lot for us in the run game. Obviously they can both catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't feel like that's the case right now. I think we're moving the ball down the field without having to use those guys. Those guys in the pass game, other guys are doing it as well. But they definitely give you that ability to use them in the pass game.
And then, obviously Nick had that huge screenplay to end the game. Just, especially Joel, how good a job did Joel do on that one block clearing out the guys that looked to be in the way?
Yeah, no, Joel's been playing great all year long. I don't know if he got a game ball last week. I thought it was his best performance of the year for him. Well deserving. He was the critical part of that block. They had a linebacker down in that position that was responsible for Nick. And just his recognition of the man coverage, the tight coverage that was on Nick there, him executing that block was really smart. That's a great finish off the game.
Coach Joe, hey, I won't tell anybody. Did you break protocol and give Miles a big hug when he came back?
Maybe. No, it's definitely good to have him back. It was good to see his face out on the field, and he looks
he looks good.
How does he look? I mean, moving like the Miles we know.
Yeah, he's only been back for 1 day, but he said we'll be smart about what we're going to do, but he looked good.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Tom. Jeff Goodell, you have our next question.
Derrick Henry, Joe, what do you do to slow him down if you can't stop him?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is, their identity as a team is to run the football. So, we can't control how many touches he's going to have. Our focus is going to be on playing the best run defense and try to eliminate the big runs. We acknowledge and realize that he may have a run here or there, but we really just got to eliminate the big ones and do the best we can to get him bottled up before he gets going.
Thank you, Jeff. Mary Kay Cabot, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Coach, sorry to hear about the loss of Ronnie Harrison for a period of time here. So just wondering, what are some of the things that Ronnie was doing so well for you in your defensive backfield, and what had he brought to the table to help solidify that spot?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, the thing that Ronnie brought to the team was he just truly loves to play the game. We all remember when we were like little kids running around, just playing football. I think he had that type of energy, and a lot of guys fed off of that. On the football field, just the versatility to move him around, play him in different places and sub packages. His ability to get the football, seemed like the football was always around him, or he was always touching the football. So that part of it, we'll miss, but we do feel like we have capable guys to step in and play.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mary Kate. Nate Ulrich, you're up next.
Coach, is there anything that you got in a conversation from Miles, or even maybe that you saw, although it was just 1 day, that gives you confidence that he'll be his usual self?
Yeah, no, like I said, we talking to him. He feels good. I just think it's the process of bringing him back the right way. So we just monitor his reps each day in practice and kind of see where he's at. But we do know that he'll be available to play. We'll just have to see how many reps we can give him.
Do you think by the end of the week's practices you'll have a good idea on if he can handle a full workload?
Oh yeah, I think we will. And again, it's just a daily thing that we just check with him, and he checks with our training staff, and we monitor where he's at. There's all type of technological advances where we can see where he's at as well. So we'll know what he's capable of on Sunday.
Thank you, Nate. Next question goes to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Joe, I wanted to ask you more about Derrick Henry. Just how different or unique is he than pretty much any other back in the league?
He's very unique because he has size, he has speed, he has excellent vision. He can make the cuts. He can, hit it inside, bounce it outside. He can run by you. He can run over you. So I think I named about everything.
Do your guys have to have a different mindset playing someone as physical as he is?
I'm not necessarily saying that we have to have a different mindset. We just have to know what type of runner he is. Because each week we feel like all we have to do is go out and play our defense. We always pride ourselves on running to the ball and tackling. But with him, he's just a bigger back. He has a different type of style. So it's just really making him more aware of what type of style runner he is, more than it is physically trying to get him down.
Thank you.
Got Jeff Shadell. You have our next question.
I want to ask you one indirect question about Derrick Henry. How does he affect, maybe even indirectly, their pass offense? If you concentrate too much on him, how do you get those receivers too?
We're trying to solve that problem all week, but that's what it is. He's him in the running game. This what he's able to do. The yards that he generates. It just creates issues for you defensively because you want to do what you can to stop him, but now you're one-on-one, in good coverage at times. So, we have to do a multitude of things.
whether it's coverage, whatever we're doing defensively, to give ourselves different options to stop them. But it's an issue that you can't get away from.
Thank you, Jeff. Mary Kay Cabot, you're up.
What is Ryan Tannehill doing so well that he's only got 4 interceptions at this time of year, and what makes him so hard to pick up?
Yeah, I just think it's their offense. Everything goes through the running back, and right now they're running the ball very well. They're running at a high level, and when you're worried about stopping the run, you create bigger windows, you create matchups, and just based on their style of offense, he's doing a great job making the plays that he needs to make when they do decide to throw it. And that was something we talked about as well, but he's playing really well for him.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Back to Nate Ulrich.
Coach, when you talk about their offense, how similar is it to the Browns' offense, and does that help?
I think the philosophy is very similar. Just when you say we want to run the ball to set up the pass, and the more effective you are running the ball, the more defenders you commit to the run. And then now you get to play action. You're so worried about the run, you're creating windows behind you. And, so our philosophy is very similar to theirs. So we've seen it, not a lot in practice, but we know we have to deal with it.
Thanks, Nate. Patrick, you have our next question.
Hey, Joe, we talked so much about Miles as a pass rusher, but how good is he defending the run?
Very good. Miles has great length. He's very powerful, great flexibility. So he has the ability to set edges, take on blockers, whoever they may be, fullbacks, linemen pulling. But he's a very good run defender.
And how did you think Malcolm played, without Sione in there last week?
I thought he did a good job. You got to give Jacksonville credit. They had a good game plan. They made some plays on us. Felt like we definitely could have played better, but I felt like stepping up, without Sione being there, I felt like he did a good job.
Thanks. Thank you, Scott. Nate Ulrich, you're up.
Coach, I'll throw the same question at you about Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, he did a good job as well. I think he had 4 targets, I think 2 completions against him. But when you watch him technically, for him moving outside really for the first time, for extended play, just felt like he did well. I talked to him about it. As a player, he's very competitive. He wishes there were some things he could have did better, more technically. But I thought he did a nice job for us.
And what makes A.J. Brown and Corey Davis a challenging tandem? Obviously, you talk about Denzel and Ronnie Harrison. Not being there, that adds to it. But what makes those guys special and productive?
I just feel like across the board, you look at their skill positions, they have it the way they want it. And he's just, both the receivers are great receivers after the catch. So when they get the ball, you have to be able to get them on the ground. Just came from upstairs watching some tape, watching Brown breaking multiple tackles. You know what I mean? So they have hands to catch the ball. They can beat you underneath. They can beat you down the field. But when they do catch the ball, they're very good runners after the catch.
Thanks, Nate. We'll go to Tony Grossi. This will be our last question for Coach Woods.
Joe, I know this safety you guys claimed has some experience with Seattle. Did that make him a little more attractive, kind of like that system? And second of all, I know he's not here yet, but how realistic in the last 4 games can he help you?
That was a big part of it, because he's a system fit. He understands the system in terms of what we do. There's some other things that we do outside of that system, but we really felt comfortable because of that. Realistically, we'll try to get him up to speed, just like when we got Ronnie here. It was the same dynamic, but he's going to have to be ready to play for us as soon as next week.
Not been available every game like any coach would want. Who would be his backup?
Well, right now we have Dale, Carl, and we have our 2 young players, Moffitt and Benton.
that we've activated at times throughout the season. So between those guys and the new guy we signed, we'll figure out the rotation. This depends on how fast Tetra can get up to speed on the defense.
That you're here for, right? I mean, this is why you want to be playing football, to be in big, huge games like this on Sunday.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's going to be a battle, and it's part of it. So we're excited for the challenge, and just go out there and try to come back to Cleveland with a W.
And how much does it mean to you throughout most of your career? You haven't had an opportunity like this to be playing meaningful games at this point in December. So, where does this find you?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. It's also it has you itching, literally itching to want more. And we know that we got to take it one game at a time, and that not that our position is set in stone, but we still have to go out here and win games and play good football. So I think we understand that. I understand that. And we just been working, putting in the work each and every day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Scott Petrick is next.
Hey, Jarvis, kind of along those lines, do you feel like you guys still need to prove that you can beat kind of the upper echelon teams in the AFC, and the Titans might qualify as that?
Yeah, I think those guys have continued to make a name for themselves and built the type of team that is a playoff championship contending team every year, and we definitely gonna have our hands full. But like I say, early on, we're excited for the challenge. We're excited about the opportunity, and again, I still feel and believe that our best football is gonna be in these last couple months, and it has to be. It's no secret. The best teams are the better teams. Are the teams that go in a run. Those runs start in November, December. So we're excited about the matchup.
Thanks, Scott. Next up, Daryl Ryder.
Hey, Jarvis, coming off that big game that you had Sunday in Jacksonville, how much of that is a byproduct of you just starting to feel more like yourself, healthier, the rib, the hip, and how much of that was just the opportunity presenting itself?
Yeah, it's a great combination of both. I think it was definitely a big combination of the type of week being that it was a little bit different than it normally had been. We did a lot of things on air, and I just got an opportunity to just work on my craft, not worry about who's in front of me, not worry about making sure I all the other things of the other variables that are out there. So I was able to put together a great week of practice, and then got the opportunities in the game, but it just made the most of it.
Thanks, Daryl. Jeff Shadell has our next question.
Cool mask there, Jarvis. Talk about the way that you and Baker, I want to talk about the way Baker has developed this year.
Yeah, man, just continue. He's just continuing to grow, each week, doing whatever it takes to win these games. We're taking care of the football as a team collectively. And he's leading us. He's a big part of our success this far, and where we want to go in the future, he's going to have to continue to play at a high level.
Thank you, Jeff. Nate Ulrich.
Jarvis, speaking of Baker, he said yesterday that organization, it's a night and day difference from when you guys faced the Titans last year, and obviously it didn't go the way that you guys wanted, to this year and where you're at and how you're approaching everything. What are the big differences you're seeing in the growth of this franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I can't answer that same question, that same way. If I would have answered it that way, but I think at the same time too, I just think that the position that we're in now, and who we are, and the identity that we have as an offense, the identity that we have as a team, a smart, tough, accountable, resilient team. That's the things that we live by, and that's our mantra. And that's the things that we hold ourselves to each and every day, the standard. And I think that that's something that definitely is here that may or may not have been in the past that we have now.
you said earlier that that obviously meaningful football in the center has you literally itching, but you know that you still need to win games. Your position is insecure. But we heard from you, and we hear from guys all the time about the focus on every game. Do you think you guys are a more focused team this year than last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just continue to take each day as it comes. Everything is kind of unpredictable again. On uncertain times, difficult times, everything is uncertain, and we just learn to just, find a way. And I think, our focus each week is honestly on the day. And we never really looking ahead, and then we get to Sunday, and our focus is on that day. And that's what this team's mindset is, and and that's how we approach it.
Thank you, Nate. Scott Petrick, back to you.
Hey, Jarvis, when we talk about this game, so much attention is focused on Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. But with all that focus on the run game, do you think there's a chance or maybe even the need for big plays down the field to kind of change the outcome?
I think just, you look at both of our offenses, those plays are going to be made. They come with the game. They come from those guys being able to do what they do so well, on each side. So, we'll see. Hopefully we'll make one more play than they do to allow us to have one more score than they do. So we'll see.
Hey, Jarvis, I want to ask you about situational football that you guys have played this year. You've been rather proficient, whether it's red zone, the 2-minute, the 4-minute offense. Obviously, Sunday, you guys are probably going to want a little longer than the 4-minute offense. But just why have you guys been so good in those various offenses, if you will, and the way you manage and control the clock in the game?
Just being aware of the situation. Each week we kind of do like a around the league tape. Coach does a great job of putting our around the league tape up, and we see each week how teams either win games, lose games, and vice versa, depending on how they handle the situation. How teams could have lost games, depending on how they handle situations. And we just try to learn from those things. And then obviously we put ourselves in those situations here at practice and try to do our best to whether it's score a touchdown or whether that's run the clock out or get to a field goal or defense got to get a stop. So it's putting ourselves in those situations then to be able to go out there and feel comfortable when the bullets are flying.
Thanks, Joe. We have time for two more. Tom Withers and Mary Kay. Tom, go ahead.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Jarvis, you've had plenty of big games in your life, but what did that one mean for you last week? I know you've never lacked any confidence, but what kind of a confidence boost does that give you when you have a nice breakout like that?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I feel like I'm in a sense just getting started. So I'm excited. I hope with that more opportunities come, and then it challenges me obviously to continue to work hard, to continue to get my hands on the ball in practice, continue to earn the trust of the coaching staff to be able to call these plays and put me in these type of situations for this team to make those type of plays, and that's something that I'm excited about and looking forward to.
It was a game where every one of your catches was clutch. It was either for a first down or a touchdown. How much personal pride do you take in doing something like that?
Oh man, I ain't know, but yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome, man. Listen, that's what we need. That's part of being, the good football that we got coming up ahead. More of that.
Thank you, Tom. Mary Kay Cabot has our last question for Jarvis.
Yeah, Jarvis, I just wanted to talk about, those tight window throws, those contested balls that, that you make. I mean, you look out there and it just looks like you're so tightly covered. There's no way that this is going to be a reception, and somehow you manage to make the catch. So my question is, Baker is putting it in there into these tight windows. Do you guys have this conversation where he knows that he can do that? He just has to get it close in those one-on-one matchups, and you're going to win those balls, and just what's the mindset there for you to be able to do that?
Yeah, I think that day it was just because it was my birthday. But no, listen, we haven't really had an opportunity to throw the ball in prior weeks to our Jacksonville game, and we wanted to come out and kind of make a statement in the air, and make just trusting me, giving me opportunities regardless of who's around or who he's throwing the ball to. And again, like I say, like just coming down to me understanding that I have to make these plays for this team. In tough situations, guy on my back, whatever it is, I have to make those type of plays, and that's what I want to continue to do.
Timeout for 53 seconds with J.C. Treader, presented by Fifth Third Bank. J.C., as you can see, is in the hot seat. I've got the timer, and we are underway. What house would you be from or area in Game of Thrones? Winterfell. Who on your team would you want to be with on a deserted island? Joel. What is your favorite meal? Steak and mashed potatoes. Favorite movie? Remember the Titans. If you could be from any country other than America, what country would you be from? Italy. Oh, I like that. That's a good one. All right, if you could have an Italian dinner and invite 3 people from history or your life, anybody, who would the 3 people be? I go my sister, my dad, and my dad's mom, who passed away, so we never got to meet her and have a nice family dinner together. Well, that's beautiful. I think we'll stop it right there. That's so emotional. And I like that. A lot of people sometimes they go the celebrity angle, and there it is, the alarm goes off. But I like that. And what would you, if you could get a chance to speak with a family member, as you mentioned, who's passed away, you never got to meet, what would be the first thing you'd want to say to them? Oh, I mean, just I think just having that conversation, just getting to know each other, and just be a special moment. I think my sister would really appreciate it. I know my dad would. Just having her see us and meet us for the first time would be great. So it's not just that the guy is one of the best centers in the league. It's not just that he's the president of the NFLPA. He's also got a big heart. Beautiful. JC, thanks so much for joining us here with 53 Seconds with JC Treader, presented by Fifth Third Bank. We are teaming up with Fifth Third Bank to tackle debt. For your chance to win up to $28,000, enter at 53.com/Browns. That's 53.com/Browns. It only takes 53 seconds. Against the Jags, when you watch this tape, are you sometimes just kind of, wow, the consistency, the production, and then you get into that second half, and it's like they just turn it on and hit another gear.
Yeah, those guys have done a nice job, and they've made plays. At times things are blocked really, really well, and I can think of a few of them last week that came spitting out of there for big ones. And then at times, we'll miss a block, or you give the defense credit, they defeat a block, or they run through a gap, and they still make yards. They found a way to run through an arm tackle, make a guy miss, run through a tackle. That's a big part of this is making some dirty runs that almost were a loss of 3, turn them into a gain of 5.
You guys got the 8th win of the season on Sunday, assuring you that you won't have a losing season for the first time for the Browns since my rookie year in 2007. Is that meaningful at all for you guys and your staff, even though this is your first year in Cleveland?
Yeah, Joe, we really don't talk much about the past. It's something we really put the blinders on, and we focus on the game in front of us. And we're very respectful of the past. I mean, this is a storied franchise, so we respect what's come before us, but we really got to make sure that we're keeping what's in front of us is the most important for us.
And that is to go 1-0 every week. And the most important thing on your plate now will be the 8-3 Tennessee Titans. And we will talk about that when you rejoin us later on in the show. But coming up next on Browns Live, powered by First Energy, Nick Chubb, mic'd up. That's right. Perhaps the greatest runner in the league today. Mic'd up for your listening pleasure. Next on Browns Live. The fire with
David Deferman.
big hit by Malik Jackson.
Not over here, boy. You know what you can do, hey. Break it down this way, you know what you can do. Hey, all over me. You got your mask up under your neck. Huh? You got your mask on. Girl.
The jump run to the left and a stutter step and a cutback and a stiff arm 45. He's to the 50. He's to the 40. 35, 30. He cuts back once again. He's to the 20. He's to the 15. He's to the 10. He's to the 9. Oh, Nick Chubb is back.
Hey, brother. Get this man the ball. Hey, get him some water.
Oxygen.
You ain't done yet, are you? You ain't need it.
Here's Mayfield giving, jump running. He's through the middle, and he leaps over a tackler over the 30, and they're going to put him down the 27-yard line at the first down marker. Nick Chubb now the first running back all year to rush for 100 yards against this Eagles defense.
Yeah, I got 100. I got 100.
Congratulations, Nick Chubb, 3,000 yards rushing.
Just like that, we got everything we want.
You also stiff arm that guy tomorrow.
Run for a first down.
Just when you watch the game, just watch me.
Hey, nice job making a run.
Now, Nick Chubb lets his play on the field do the vast majority of his talking, Joe. And boy, I wouldn't say it's talking, it is screaming, I am elite. And I'll ask you, is he one of the best running backs in the NFL? And by the way, that's what we call a softball question in the biz.
Nathan, not only am I going to say he's one of the best running backs in the NFL, I'm going to proudly and confidently say he is the best running back in the NFL. There's nobody in the NFL that does more when the play is blocked for less than Nick Chubb. He is extremely exciting to watch, and he makes everybody on that field better, and he turns a bad block into maybe less than a bad block, and you can sit there in those meeting rooms and laugh about maybe missing your block because Nick Chubb, he can take anything for a first down.
He brings the electricity whenever he touches the ball at First Energy Stadium, but we want to see you bring that energy. Browns fans, First Energy wants to see your best fan energy this season. Submit a picture or video displaying your Browns fandom using the hashtag BestFanEnergy on social media for a chance to win 2 tickets to a Browns game this season. When we return on Browns Live, powered by First Energy, hear from Jarvis Landry. He of 8 catches, he of 143 yards, and his first touchdown on the season, a dominating performance in Jacksonville. He joins us exclusively on Browns Live, and that's next.
Time to make your disappointing breakfast your next. You've been saving for.
Mayfield under center. Motion and Mayfield play action fake. Looks, pumps, throws. Landry caught it. Touchdown. He's in the end zone.
His first of the year.
Jarvis Landry. Oh, that's great to see.
All right, we're joined now by Browns wide receiver Jarvis Landry. And Jarvis, it had to feel good to have a game like you just did in Jacksonville. What was clicking for you in that game?
Man, we had a great week of practice, as a team, even though it was a bit of a different type of week for us. We had a great week of practice, and we knew going into the game we wanted to try to take advantage in the air, and we got opportunities and we made plays.
And was it one of those things where you guys knew it was going to come eventually, even though you guys had about 3 straight games where it was really difficult to get the passing game going?
Yeah, and like I said too, like that the whole week, leading up into the game, you can kind of feel that that's what we were trying to do or are gonna attempt to do, and and as the week unfolded and the game plan continued to unfold, we know we wanted to do some things in the air, and guys were really excited, man, and most of all, we got the dub doing it.
I know in previous years we've asked you about the identity of the Browns offense. It's been a little bit tough to describe. I mean, it seems like now, though, this team has a pretty clear-cut way it moves the football. How nice has that been for you, and what do you like most about this offense?
Yeah, I mean, as we go on, I think the best football that we're going to play is ahead of us. Obviously, we all see that our offense backfield, and as that backfield goes, and everybody else starts to go and get involved and things like that. So, for me, it's obviously doing an amazing job in the run game, making sure that we can get the running backs to the second and third levels, which would then, force the defense to become a little bit tighter, and then we can make those plays deep down the field, or have to only be one or two guys to make a play. So I think for me, just understanding that, embracing that is something that, it wasn't difficult at all, but, it's definitely something week in and week out, now that I see I've definitely embraced.
Any added intensity when you're going into a game where both teams just have great records and so much is on the line?
I mean, these are the games that, you look for at this time of the year. You're looking around and, you're comparing teams, you're comparing records, and who they have, who we have. And, these are the type of games at this time of the year where, it's going to feel like a playoff type of atmosphere. And, those 2 or 3 plays are going to dictate the game. So, we want to make sure that we're on the plus side of those.
Good luck, Jarvis, on Sunday, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Great job by Andrew Brubel sitting down with Jarvis there, but now it's time. It's Joe's favorite. Let's go in the film room. This week's Play Breakdown presented by Microsoft Surface, and we're going to start with Nick Chubb. Joe, you said earlier you would love the block for him because, boy, he's going to make you right no matter what. And let's take a look at this. This is going to be wide zone to the right, but the Jags had other ideas, and Nick Chubb, boy, well, he just did the rest.
Absolutely, Nick Chubb. He's going to start the play to the right, and as he's pressing the ball into the line of scrimmage, he notices that the backside defensive tackle's got a little bit of leakage in that gap that he's used to cutting up and into. So what does Nick Chubb do? He looks all the way to the backside of the play where the safety is crashing down off of Austin Hooper's butt. Going to be able to stop that play, but what does Nick Chubb do? He stutters his feet for a half a second. It gets the safety to stop his feet for just a split second. Nick Chubb is able to get his shoulders up the field, and he's able to work back down towards the goal line to be able to turn what should be a minus 2-yard run into a plus 9-yard run. If you stop this play right there, where you see basically 3 defenders at the line of scrimmage who all have beaten their blocks, and you say, what happens on this play? Everybody's going to say, oh, this is a lost yardage run. But when you've got a guy like Nick Chubb in the backfield who's able to stop, accelerate, hesitate, make and create space within that defense, and then cut up and work his way back through the defense, it's just magical, and he's able to turn what should be chicken crap into chicken salad. It's a beautiful thing when you're an offensive lineman to watch.
As we go on here in the play breakdown, we get into the red zone, and this is where the Browns have been excellent this year. Kevin Stefanski dialing up good play after good play. And Joe, they come out with all 3 tight ends to the right. And now we had shown this look multiple times in this game. You're going to get a shift where Austin Hooper's going to come across, and you're going to balance the tight ends because then you're going to have Harrison Bryant come back into that offset eye as a fullback. We did that twice prior to that play in this game alone. Both times they were runs. This one, a play action touchdown. Take it away, Joe.
Yeah, this one is all about the setup, like you said, Nathan. This is about Kevin Stefanski finding a way to put all of his tight ends in the game, which gives them a mismatch, and it creates confusion within the defense on who's covering who and where they're supposed to be within the zone. Like you mentioned, they start everybody on the right side, and then basically they're moving 2 out of their 3 tight ends to the left side to create that confusion that you need. Austin Hooper's just going to run a little bit of a corner route, and Harrison Bryant is just going to run into the flat. You're going to see when the ball is thrown that all 3 tight ends who started on the right side are going to be in a zone on the left side in what looks like a triangle. It's flooding the zone. It's creating that confusion, and that's exactly what they did. It created enough confusion within that Jacksonville secondary that they didn't know who to cover. Baker Mayfield makes the smart decision, throws to the wide open Austin Hooper in the end zone, just like you draw it up on Wednesdays on the whiteboard.
And that's the beautiful thing, and that's kind of, you talk about this window dressing all the time, where you're trying to just get a little bit of a confusion, a little bit of a tell, and as you mentioned, you have those 3 tight ends on the right initially, and instead you end up with kind of all 3 on the left, and the Chief right in the middle of the field, and it's just a great read by Baker, a great play-action fake, and that's what you do. You build off of these things. You sequence them, and then you implement them, and that's something Kevin Stefanski's done well. Great throw from Baker, great catch, touchdown, Browns. And the man who was the architect of that play and the Browns' 8-3 winning season, head coach Kevin Stefanski, he's next previewing this big showdown with the Tennessee Titans when Browns Live, powered by First Energy, returns.
The door to a car you've been saving for. The door to a personal loan that feels genuine.
Cleveland Browns fans, who truly light up our communities. From our home to your home, no matter where you watch the game, we'll be there bringing good energy to power the best fans in Northeast Ohio.
The world has changed, but some facts remain. Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack, and every hour, over 700 people suffer a broken bone. While those numbers haven't changed, there are fewer people seeking the treatment they need. If you're injured, sick, or in pain, it's safe to get the care you need at university hospitals. Protecting your health with science and compassion. That's UH Safe.
Welcome back into Browns Live, powered by First Energy. The legend, Joe Thomas. And we welcome back in the head coach of your 8-3 Cleveland Browns for this week's game preview, presented by Ruoff Mortgage. And coach, this is game big one. You're 8-3, so is your opponent, the Tennessee Titans. I try to say, you see that Spider-Man game where the two Spider-Mans are looking at each other. It's kind of the same. They do a lot of similar things on offense that we do. They like to run the ball. They've got a great running back, Derrick Henry, the leading rusher in the NFL. They like to hit you down the field off of play action, and that's what Ryan Tannehill has been excellent at so far this year. Do you see that similarity when you look at this team?
I do. I have a ton of respect for what Coach Vrabel does down there in Nashville. They have, I think, a really good defense, multiple in their schemes. They really play everything, and they play it pretty well. And then on offense, I think Arthur Smith does an outstanding job with their run game, coupled with the play action shots that they take, and the players they have in the perimeter that can hurt you. I think it's a really, really balanced attack.
No sacks last weekend against the Jaguars, but we're expecting Myles Garrett back this weekend. How much of a boost will Myles Garrett be for specifically that pass rush on your defense?
Yeah, I think, Joe, if you go back and watch Myles in the previous games, I mean, he's making game-changing plays, rushing the passer. He's getting sacks, he's getting strip sacks. So he's somebody that we count on. I think it's no secret that he's a great player. So applying pressure to the quarterback, helping the run game, I think is a big boost.
Coach, we always like to take questions from our powered by First Energy comes from Reddit user Remy. Do you put everything you have into a win to get the win in each week, or do you hold some things back for more important games down the road?
I think they're all important. So I wouldn't say we hold anything back in a game to say. But there is, you can't run everything you have in your offense. You can't run every good idea you got. Things on hold. You say, all right, we're going to go down there with a nice, tight game plan where our guys can have a big understanding of a small menu and know that we have plenty of ideas that can use for the next one.
Coach, in addition to the business at hand on the field, we've talked a lot about your team and their contributions in the community, social justice space, and to the causes that matter to them most. This week is the My Cause, My Cleats game. What does that mean to you and to this team?
Yeah, I think it's an outstanding thing that the NFL does to bring awareness to different charity groups around the country. And for me, it's Boys Hope, Girls Hope. It's an organization that does a great job with young scholars and mentoring them and fostering a place where they can continue their education. They do a great job here in the community. I got to know them a little bit really early in the pandemic as some of our charities around our cities were struggling. Something that I became aware of, and my family and I have really been excited to get to know this group, and I want to make sure I bring some awareness to what they're doing. And there's so many great causes out there, and for me, Boys Hope, Girls Hope is one that I want to make sure that people are aware of and just understand the great work that they're doing in our community with our future.
Coach, that's tremendous. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for all you do for Browns fans with this 8-3 Browns team. And I know you are not satisfied, looking to go 1-0 this week, 9-3, and take care of business in Tennessee. Thanks so much for the time, and good luck on Sunday.
Thanks, guys.
We We've had a great time here on Browns Live today, but before we go, as always, we want to take a moment to recognize a frontline worker who has made a tremendous impact in their community during the pandemic. Each game during the regular season, the Browns will honor this individual prior to kickoff as part of our Hats Off to Our Heroes program. This week's hero is Alice Ramsey, the director and treasurer of Audrey's Outreach. Alice helped transition from indoor food and supply donations to a drive-thru to keep all participants safe during the pandemic. Alice, from all of us at the Browns, we thank you. One more thing, Browns fans, to put on your calendar. It is very important. The Taste of the Browns telethon event kicks off Friday, December the 4th during News 5's 4 p.m. newscast, leading up to a special show hosted by John Doss and yours truly. We'll be featuring a variety of special guests, including current Browns player Jarvis Landry and my incomparable co-host, Joe Thomas, along with local chef Rocco Whalen at 7 o'clock to 7:30. The online auction, which benefits the Cleveland Food Bank, will feature Browns memorabilia, including a Myles Garrett autographed jersey, a Jarvis Landry autographed helmet, a Baker Mayfield autographed football, and much, much more. Every dollar donated provides 4 nutritious meals to those in need. To donate or view and bid on auction items, go to www.greaterclevelandfoodbank.org/taste-telethon. Well, that'll do it for another jam-packed edition of Browns Live, powered by First Energy. On behalf of our unbelievable production team and the legend himself, Joe Thomas, I'm Nathan Segura, reminding you to get your Sunday started at 11 a.m. with Browns Countdown, giving you all the latest for the Browns and the Titans. A huge showdown this Sunday. Everybody stay safe out there, and remember, let's go Browns.
In LA, we shutting down, locking down everything, we staying home. It's just good.
What's New York when it's like 45, 50? Like I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Ice skating.
I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing
not in the crib,
shorts,
man.
Yeah.
You know, when it rains in LA, it's locked down. We should just school's closing. We just right.
Even a sprinkle, like the break.
Yeah, it's like all right. What are you doing today? I think I'm gonna stay home. I'll probably go into work at around noon. I'll be back by 3.
It's dangerous out there. It's wet.
That's the way LA is, man.
It's dangerous out there. It's wet.
Keyshawn J. Will Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. This is interesting, fellas. For the first time since week 6, and here we are, 6-7 weeks later. For the first time since week 6, we didn't have a Thursday night game last night. You had mentioned yesterday you were flipping around, waiting for a Thursday night game.
I didn't know what, because it originally was one scheduled, obviously, and they moved it.
Right.
And I didn't catch them moving it because it had moved so much. They're moving it back and forth. They move it to this day. You're like, okay, so then they move it again. So when I was looking yesterday, I was like, okay, what do I do? Go home, get something to eat, wait for the game to come on. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't even find college football. But I did watch USC lose to UConn in basketball. But whatever.
Well,
it's fine. We got the Mobley.
It's USC basketball.
We got the Mobley brothers.
See, you were joking with my team the other day when we lost to a top 10 team. And you guys lost, so
I guess UConn's a good basketball program still. I don't know, but we lost to them. I owe Dan Orlovsky $100 and give it to him in all ones.
Danny Hurley's the coach there. He's doing a hell of a job.
Yes, and Dan went to UConn, Dan Orlovsky. Quick couple things we should mention. USC is a young kid named Evan Mobley. Keep that name in mind. He's an outstanding, dynamite young player.
I didn't know which one it was because it's two of them. And they're brothers. One of them was Evan Mobley, and the other one was...
Keep an eye on Evan, though. Keep an eye on
Evan and one. Because I could... The other one, I was like... Off air. We'll have that conversation off air. I was like... Okay.
And that game that Key mentioned that was supposed to be last night was going to be Baltimore and Dallas. That game has been moved to Tuesday night football. So that's dead. We'll have games on Sunday night, Monday night, 2 games on Monday night, and a game on Tuesday night. That said, what's the biggest game y'all are looking forward to this Sunday?
I think for me, there's a couple that stand out for a lot of different reasons, but the one I think that is the ticket this weekend is the Cleveland-Tennessee game. Cleveland Browns, Tennessee Titans. Because Cleveland, they haven't made the playoffs since 2002, and they haven't been 10 and 6 since 2007. So when you look at that, how important is that for Cleveland to continue to move in the right direction under Kevin Stefanski? Now, you can say, well, and they need to prove, they need a big game, right? The one big game, they kind of got smashed against Baltimore. You could kind of, if you wanted to, preference the Indy game as a big game, I guess, based on how Indy played after that in Phillip Rivers. But in terms of a signature win, I think if they could take care of Tennessee, Jay Zubin, that's a signature win for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's been playing solid football, doing a great job at not turning the football over, continuing to deliver it in sync to his players, allowing them to make plays for him. And so I think that is the way that they move forward in terms of the recipe. They won't win the division because Pittsburgh is not going to lose enough games for them to be able to do that, but they can at least finish in second place and get a wild card berth and possibly make some noise once they get into the playoffs.
Is there a part of you that is just waiting for the bottom to fall out with the Cleveland Browns? Are we waiting for the Browns to brown it?
No.
Well, there's a history of the Browns browning it, right? So there is this me holding my breath, just kind of saying, all right, like, are they going to be able to do it? Like, this is a statement game for them. Like, I know who the Titans are to a degree. I've watched them. I know who Derrick Henry is. I know who Ryan Tannehill is. I've seen when Baker Mayfield played against Joe Burrow and throw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. I've seen them ground and pound, run the ball with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubbs and Kevin Stefanski. I think he has to start being in conversation for Coach of the Year. Not saying he's going to be the leading candidate, but he has to be in the conversation. But there is a little part of me that is saying, all right, is this going to be a typical Brown letdown game? That we are expecting them to be next level, and they may not live up to that expectation. Part of me that wonders if that's going to happen.
Look, if they win this game on Sunday, they move to 9-3. They haven't been 9-3 in a long time. And that is a step in the right direction. I think when you say they've been browning it, that's at the beginning of the year.
No, I'm just saying there's a part of me that feels like they could brown this game.
They could.
Because we're ready for them to arrive.
But even if they lost the game, I'm not going to kick them to the curb. Oh, here we go. Even if they lost, it all depends on how they do. If they get run over like Baltimore did them, or do they lose because it's a 48-yard field goal with a minute to go in the game? Like, do they lose like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, but they haven't had a signature win. But there's a part of me that it feels like the ceiling for the Browns is higher than the ceiling for the Titans. Just because I think Baker Mayfield can be the X factor. What Baker Mayfield are you going to get? Like, if they certainly they get behind this ball game, right, due to the style, Baker's going to have to make throws. Now, look, the Titans have the 5th worst pass defense there is in the league. Like, there are going to be opportunities for him to do that. I just feel like this team can excel. They can go to a different level depending if Baker can take his game to the different level.
Well, it's not all on Baker. It's not about Baker Mayfield, this football game. It's about the entire organization and the team willing to take the next step to go to 9-3. If they fall behind for some apparent reason, and he has to now go away from the way that he's been playing, and they have to go away from the way he's been playing over the last several weeks, then we'll see what Baker Mayfield is. Do you start to get into him throwing the ball 35 plus times because they're down by 10 points? Just depends on how the flow of the game goes. I honestly, if they lost this game and they still played okay, that still encourages me because the program is moving forward. If they get run out of the building, then I would say, okay, they got a long ways to go. But if there's a narrow victory by Tennessee, then I look at it a little bit different for them.
I'm not going to throw them out the window, Zubin, if they lose. I'm just saying I really want to see the Browns. Right in, man. What's up, Barry Hunter, man? How you feeling, man?
Slow motion, man. Got it.
$45 in LA? Factor. 10 points.
I'm not going to throw them out the window, Zubin, if they lose. I'm just saying I really want to see the Browns have a statement win, have a big boy win. Time that we have arrived. We are here. Everybody else can say whatever the hell they want.
That's what has to happen, though, today. Jeez, that's
Sunday.
what has to happen Sunday. They need a big boy win, but if for some reason, Jay, they don't win the game and lose it by a long field goal or two, not get run out of the building, it still has some encouragement there because they've been so bad for so long. It still shows you, okay, they're headed in the right direction. They just haven't crossed the bridge yet. That's all I'm saying.
It's one of two interesting games that are on the docket this weekend, and that's kind of our poll question today. Who needs a win more to prove themselves? The Browns at the Titans, 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. The guys just talked about it. Or the Cardinals when they take on the Rams. Litmus test games for both Cleveland and Arizona.
+6 simply because this game better be within that 6-point margin about a quarter of the way through the fourth quarter. The Browns have to look the part here. Two 8-3 teams, and if this game is within that 6-point margin, quarter of the way through the fourth quarter, then anything can happen. A turnover here, Myles Garrett striking. You just don't know. So 6 is a lot of points from two teams that are both 8-3, despite Tennessee hosting. And these home fields are basically neutralized at this point with no crowds, maximum capacity crowds. So give me the Browns +6. This is a
next gen, next level, feel it, coach mode for Madden 21, where your coach is actually superimposed on the screen the whole time you're in practice mode. I mean, I know there's nothing more intimidating than playing a practice mode and having my coach there to impede my vision. But, you know, to be fair, this is actually an improvement because what I've seen with Madden 21 Next Gen, they've made the game so dark, you really can't even tell what's going on. But this is absolutely groundbreaking in terms of football. We've never seen a game do this. And I thought to myself today, what happened to all those people that found my videos because you guys kept smashing that like button and not knowing that I was being sarcastic? They really felt that I was falling all over myself. And then I saw this tweet. Now, I don't often respond to people, but I want to talk about my buddy Soft Drink. And I read this, and I thought to myself, what would EA respond to this with? So as far as an hour to 17 years of franchise, if you're telling me that they took what would happen in 10 years, the NFL season is months. So they took months and months and months of time, right? And they compressed it down into an hour. Who are we to complain? Right? When he talks about staring at a loading screen for so long, if you look at it as a loading screen, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you view it as an opportunity to see advertisements for MUT, then you won't be. And you know, as far as the game crashing, I mean, maybe if you wouldn't go in to franchise mode and stick to the modes they want you to play, like Superstar KO and Madden Ultimate Team, and what was that new one they just came out with? The Yard. That's right, The Yard, where they sell you digital clothing. You know, those modes where you have to spend money, and the more money you spend, the more enjoyment you have. You know, we don't want you to be in franchise mode. We don't want you to be in a practice mode. So don't mind if, when you go into these modes, your coach all of a sudden shows up on the screen, where you take forever to load a game, the same way it used to take forever to load a game, even though we're on superior consoles now. And well, if the game crashes, then maybe that's just an opportunity for you to learn a lesson about how much time and effort we put into this. So I really was taken back. The fact that there were people that came to my channel today that had no idea I was sitting here and making sarcastic videos. The fact that some of them thought that I was genuinely being appreciative of this product. You know, the reality is, at least to me as an older gamer, it's really devastating to see what Madden has become. Because I can remember a time not too long ago where Madden would be a midnight release. Madden was an event. And there's some sincere sadness to this. I understand that games have went digital, and I understand that that's changed the way a lot of people interact with their consoles and interact with media. But the reality is, whether it was digital or physical copies, Madden's release used to be celebrated. Stores used to stay open. People used to go into them with jerseys, even when they could download the game. The fact that Madden's next-gen release came out a day early with zero forethought to a whimper in the community, after really being pulled back from a next-generation console release, I mean, that's sad. I can sit here and I can talk about the lack of quality in this product. I can sit here and I can show you example after example. I can sit here and give you guys email after email of people that are tired and fed up and angry and feel like they've been taken advantage of. And I can show you a gaming company that sits there and defends it. I can show you people that sit there and defend it. I can show you things that EA does that literally boggle my mind. The fact that today Clint Oldenburg came out and addressed that any copy of this game that was given away, if you recall, in the height of Fix Madden franchise, in the height of NFL Drop EA, EA's response to us was to silence us by continually giving out free copies of its game. This was a very much documented thing that happened. And today for them to say, well, all of those free copies we gave away, they're not actually going to be utilized to go to next gen. Well, now we know why the fanfare for next gen being $70 wasn't initially met with a lot of resistance, because many people who were given the game felt they would be upgraded free of charge. What EA meant to say, and what EA did today, is release their flagship title without seemingly knowing it was happening. React to the game being released with a tweet. Put out what by all accounts is an extremely unfinished product, which by all accounts is a complete copy and paste with minor graphical changes.
Yeah.
User interface upgrades. And then went and took every free copy they've given and essentially told that gamer that was your trial of Madden. And to me, this game has proven time and time again, anyone that plays this for any amount of time has no reason to go play it again. Madden is not a game that endears itself to replay value. Madden is not a game that endears itself to having you want to buy the next copy. Madden is not a game that makes you excited about what EA is doing. You know, EA was given a golden opportunity. They were given the exclusivity agreement in a bidding war. And they had the power to make one of the greatest football games of all time. And instead what EA has done is show us what they're truly capable of, which is doing everything they can to maximize their profit while minimizing their effort. And they've done this at the expense of their customers. And when their customers finally spoke up in unison, they gave their product away. You know, the reality is, in life, a product is worth what a company says it's worth. So the fact that EA established that their game was worthless, that their game had no value, if they don't value what they're working on, then how can we value it as a gamer? If to them the product is meant to be given away, how can we ever, as a community, sit there and pay for it? EA made that distinction. They're the ones that put their game on sale weeks after release. For everyone that wants to come to my channel and be negative, or tell me that I'm being negative, does a quality game sell itself for $27 weeks after release? Or does a quality game hold its value, not only on the store shelf new, but also in a resale? I would argue that in any walk of life, a quality product is a quality product, whether you buy it new or whether you buy it used. And you can buy a quality product with the confidence that it's going to maintain its value because it's built from someone that cares, someone that has passion, and someone that actually puts thought into what they're doing. And I would say, in looking at the community's response to EA today, the saddest part of all of this is we have been shown, even going to a next-gen console, where there are no excuses, EA seemingly does not care about the product it puts out, does not care about how it releases its product, does not care about the customers or the fans of the NFL, and is willing to sit there and continue to be dependent on an NFL agreement to sell its game. And if there was any competitor in this marketplace, this game would be finished. And a lot of people ask me, what can we do as a community? And I thought about it a lot today. And I've actually came up with a concept. The concept would be, what if as gamers, we bought the rights out of this deal? What if we asked the NFL, how much is left on this agreement? How much money do they need to end this contract? Because I have a feeling that the amount of money left in this contract is less than we as a group would waste buying this pitiful excuse for a football game for the next 7 years. And I can also tell you, outside of this community, as gamers, if we were willing to put up a lot of money to buy out EA's exclusivity agreement because their game is so poor, we're confident that by simply opening up the marketplace, we would get a better product. That is something that would very quickly gain traction, because that speaks volumes about where our mindset is as a community, but most importantly, where this game is as a product. EA has found the ultimate way to oversell and underdeliver for years. But today, they did a community first. They undersold and underdelivered. They did not even keep their promise to their franchise gamers to improve their product. So I'll continue to make content. I'll continue to have more content than just about any person in this community. But I'll do so at the detriment of myself. I'll do so at the detriment of knowing the only NFL game will be the worst football game for years to come. So it's not really a proud day for me. It's not really a happy day for anyone. Because while we all had a pretty high degree of certainty what was going to happen today, every one of us, whether we want to agree with it or not, had a little bit of doubt and thought to ourselves, there's no way that the people that work in that building, that interact with us on Twitter, that defend their game and their blogs, would be so careless, would care so little, would disrespect us so much to literally put out the same exact game. But today we learned we're wrong. There's no limit to what this company is willing to do to make sure we all understand the only game modes they care about are the ones with microtransactions. Love to know your thoughts on this. Appreciate you checking out. And you know I will be back in the week with more commentary.
Clay, how badly will my Brownies beat your Titans on Sunday? Can I just mention that you had a huge team parlay, like what, yesterday or the day before, and you didn't even put the Titans on there for the money line. So I just want to tell you guys that happened.
I thought he did.
No, we didn't.
Can I also mention that yesterday I added the Titans?
Okay, well the day before, Tuesday, whatever.
Yeah.
Why don't you
pay attention to the show and keep up with what's going on just for once here? The double digits when the Titans are going to win. I did picks, and I was on top of things. I got my picks in before anybody else. And here is the truth, Rachel Bonetta. You are going to be curled up in the fetal position, crying, because not only are your Browns going to lose, they're going to lose by double digits to my Titans. And I'm going to be there in person watching, and I will be making sure that the beatdown is well received here. Look at what a fraud your Browns are this year. They are minus 21 overall in point differential. That's the 19th best in the NFL. To put this into context, no team has ever been 8-3 before with a point differential this bad in the history of the NFL. That, my friends, is a fraudulent team, and my team is going to beat yours by double digits. And I'm very confident if you want to bet on it, I'm happy to do so.
I'll think about it. We'll get to that. Furman, what are you going with?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Well, first off, I'm going to try and recreate Clay's yearbook pose. Do I have to lean in with my left shoulder and tilt my head all the way over with the creepy eyes to be able to pull it off?
I'm sorry for making love to the camera.
Ew.
I don't have hair like that. to take pictures, had to retire it after, send it out, I don't know, for spare parts. When I look at this particular game, I think the Browns are a live underdog here, catching 6. And part of the reason is because the Titans, for as well as they've played in upset wins the last 2 weeks that you referenced, Rachel, their defense still has a number of shortcomings, and one of them is against the run, where the Browns happen to be amongst the best teams in the league in terms of staying committed to the ground game and leaning on their horse, who's gone out there and performed to the best of his ability since coming back from injury. You look at Nick Chubb's games over the last 3 weeks, 100-plus yards in all of those contests, and it's taken some of the pressure off Baker Mayfield. That's why you see his interception numbers coming down. And when Tennessee played a similar offense to what the Browns are going to employ on Sunday earlier this year, they did win the game in Minneapolis, but the Vikings went up and down the field on them. Kevin Stefanski uses a lot of the same principles, having come from that Gary Kubiak school, and I think the Browns will be able to hit a few big plays over the top and play action. The Titans will get their points, but I like the Browns to keep this game close and it to go over the total on Sunday in Clay's backyard.
Now that's how you answer that question. Sal, do you want to try? You want to try this?
I do. I want to take a stab at maybe a potential bet between the two of you and Clay. How about if the Titans lose, Clay is fired, and if the Titans win,
now we're talking,
if the Titans win, though,
Those are my kind of stakes.
Clay quits at the Titans.
I like both of them.
I think that works out for everybody. Yeah. This
Do I get paid out?
No.
Yeah, we'll help pay you out. We'll
No, that's tough.
It was 3.5 to open. I think it's 6
You get to
now.
keep all your
6
show dollars.
seems about right, although I still like the Titans. I don't want to say all of a sudden everyone's talking about Nick Chubb is as good as Derrick Henry. I don't believe it.
Sal's an underrated Titans fan.
I think I might be. I'm definitely an underrated Browns fan here. Take a look at what the Browns do as an underdog.
Why do we have
because
to?
it doesn't happen because they've been playing crappy teams like the Jags and the Bengals, and you don't see that side. The Eagles, 2-6, 2-6 against a number. They have two guys that you can't tackle, Tennessee. It's not fair. A.J. Brown, since returning from injury week 5, has 8 touchdowns in 8 games. I think the Titans win by 12 or 15 or 14. All those numbers.
We are a different team than we were last year. Okay, so that wasn't fair right off the bat. Listen, okay, everyone wants Clay and I to make a big bet, but I don't think you understand that we have already done this on this very show. And you know what happened? Roll the stupid clip.
Can't remember.
Roll it. Hear ye, hear ye. Best quarterback in the NFL. Yep. Mariota MVP. He did a great job yesterday. Mariota. Mr. Trying to pressure on my Marcus Mariota's best quarterback. Hear ye, hear ye.
Oh, nice. There we go.
Well, you know what? That was then.
Consequences.
That was then, and this is now, and I'm right back in the mix, baby. Yes, I will bet you play Travis, okay? Against the spread. Let's not get crazy here, okay?
Not even willing to step up for your own team straight
The
up.
winner gets to choose the other's wardrobe for the day. I hate your white coat. I hate your stupid Hawaiian shirt. I'm surprised you haven't made a comment about this outfit yet. You do every single day, so there you go. One of us will get our wish, okay? Is it a deal?
You are wearing Titans blues.
100%. I'm ready for it. I do want it to be on the record that Banana is unwilling to even take her team straight up. She's aware that we're going to win.
Gostkowski kicks this 55-yarder in overtime to win for the Titans, and then he has to come in the Browns. We'll figure it out.
I love my team, but my team is the Cleveland Browns, so I think I'm being very smart with my decision right now.
I mean, Sal roots for the Cowboys, though, Banana.
True. But he's dumb, so. Hey guys, I'm Rachel Banana, host of Fox Bet Live. Thank you so much for watching, and I gotta tell you something. You need to
Spax is the best duo in all football.
Thing that happened yesterday, no big.
Rock and Mike.
Titans hosting the Browns on Sunday, and Baker Mayfield has had plenty of success in Kevin Stefanski's big look offense. Only Patrick Mahomes has more yards outside the pocket than Mayfield this season. But don't count out the Titans offense led by Derrick Henry. It ranks third in efficiency behind only the Chiefs and Packers this season. He's just running all over people. Our Football Power Index gives the Titans the advantage with a 67% chance to win, but by less than 6 points. That game's tough to pick. You're interested in that type of thing. Dan, you've scoured the tape on Baker Mayfield. How has he looked in recent weeks?
He's playing good football for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's really because there's a consistency in his situational decision making that's showing up on tape. 2nd and 21 last week, okay? They're going to call a play to just try and get like 8-9 yards and a chance on 3rd down, tight end over the ball. I love this out of Baker. This starts a 3-play rip. He's got vision on that tight end, back foot in the ground, nope. Linebacker hugs it up. So now that defensive end wins his rep. Now you got to move in the pocket, Baker. He's got vision on that receiver. He goes to throw the football. The corner fluffs off. Never underestimate your ability to not throw the football. Find your check down. Why? Because it's the only option to go with the football. So now you're 3rd and 16. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to go, okay, we're going to play a really good defense in this situation. 3-man rush. We're going to drop a bunch of people underneath in coverage. Now check out the spin. Baker's got to be great with his vision, right? Zone defense. Hold that backer. Check again. Now straighten that backer up. Ball out on time to Higgins. Okay, 15-yard gain, 4th and 1. We want to be aggressive as a football team. I got to trust my quarterback. What you're going to get out of the top receiver, Key, you know this route, is an out and up and a comeback to the sideline. We got to make this play work. But here's the thing. Jacksonville wins. No one's open. They don't fight it. Baker, you got to throw it away. You got to place that ball where only your guy can catch it because you can't throw the ball away. So just that 3-play rip right there really shows me a lot of maturity from Baker. Like, I'm understanding a part of the puzzle. I'm a piece in the offense, and he's getting rid of the ball, not giving it away to the team, to the opponent, and it's helping the football.
Yeah, Dan did have to stand up, by the way. You saw him sitting down. He has to stand up when he talks the ball. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I think you are right, though. He's playing good football. Man, you know, it's not that I feel sorry for Baker Mayfield. It's unfair how people judge his play. I believe because he was selected as a number 1 overall pick, there's certain expectations that come with that. And when you go back and you look, Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey, they wanted a quarterback that can play in the gun, throw the ball all over the lot 50 times a game. That's not what Kevin Stefanski and this new regime is looking for. They're looking for a guy that can not turn the football over, manage a game, make a few throws when they need him to, run the ball, play defense, get off the field. They're 8-3. And I think what happens is he kind of gets a raw deal in this situation. Because think about it, though, Dan. Had he been taken in, let's say, 4th, instead of number 1 overall, he has his team at 8-3. You're looking at him so different. You really are looking at him different because you're going to take Kirk Cousins number 1 overall, and he falls in the Kirk Cousins type category. Baker Mayfield, and listen to me when I say this, I'm serious. He may never make a Pro Bowl in his NFL career and as the number 1 overall pick. And it's because of what they want to do, and there's some pretty good quarterbacks in the conference as well.
Yeah, hey, Marcus, before you go, it's important to remember, too, that Baker Mayfield kind of rose up at the last second in that draft and became a little bit of a surprise number 1 overall pick. We found out sort of late in the game that the Browns really liked him and were going to take him number 1 overall. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, such is damn life. We sent him with a number 1 overall draft pick that balled out for his career and lived up to the expectations. I'm sorry if Baker Mayfield got drafted first. Ain't nobody sorry for his pocketbook and what the expectations were.
I want to see my guy.
Yeah, what's your friend talking about Madden for? Did you get it for free?
Yeah, I got mine. Did you see my guy? He does not look like me. I gotta redo it again. I can't figure it out. This camera. There's my guy. Why is it not moving?
I don't think you should your face from last year. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't look that bad.
What's it on his lip?
Yeah, what's on your lip?
My mustache? That's not me.
No, it's not you. Oh, where are
Around Baker Mayfield, include himself, was to come in.
Jets Martinez this weekend. They face the Cowboys on Tuesday. John Harbaugh was asked when he would get the reigning MVP back.
As far as the COVID guys coming back, they all have their different days when they're possibly allowed to come back, but those are medical decisions in the end, not coaching decisions. So when the doctors clear them to practice, that's when we'll move them. It's going to be good to get practice, and we just need to practice.
Brown in the end zone. Touchdown! Seven people jump. Touchdown! He got it! Yes! Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Week 13 kicks off Sunday. Let's break down a great slate of games with a round of the Mad Minute. 60 seconds on the clock. These guys share that entire minute. And let's start with the highlights you just saw. Browns going to Nashville to face off with the Titans. What are we watching here? Nate Dub.
I'll just keep it simple. It's a battle of beasts. Beast in the backfield. Of course, you're looking at Chubb and Hunt, and then the king, Derrick Henry, but also wide receiver play. Jarvis Landry was fantastic last week. He stepped up big for his team, and he's going to need to, because teams are going to start to load the box and try to stuff the run game for the Browns, and if guys like Jarvis Landry step up, they'll be tough to beat.
Emmitt Smith used to face Barry Sanders once every couple of years, and it would be hyped up as the greatest matchup ever. Here's your running backs. I honestly think, with all due respect to Dalvin Cook and Saquon and Christian McCaffrey, who aren't on the field, Chubb and Henry might be the best running backs in all of football. So if this is the showcase game of the weekend, I cannot wait to see two of the best running backs in all of football in power backs go at it. It's just it's a delightful game, and it is old school, especially in December.
If Barry had Emmett's line, he would rush for 3,000 yards.
That was the argument.
3,000 yards. Moose Johnston, forget about it. On Monday, there should be a national celebration if the Browns win this game. The Browns will be 9-3. You understand the last time the Browns were 1993 or 9-3? It was Bill Belichick who was the head coach. And the last time before that was 1968. LBJ, hello. This is a huge deal. I think the Browns are going to win this game, and they'll be 9-3. Boom.
Love the running backs in this one, guys. Since the start of 2018, Nick Chubb leads the NFL with 16 100-yard games. Who's second on that list? Derrick Henry on the other side, of course. Okay, Colts going to Houston. They're taking on the Texans. It's an AFC South showdown. What has you excited about this one? Abita Schrader.
Don't look now. Deshaun Watson's fine.
Jones back again. He is going deep, and it is caught again. This time by Golden Tate. Fastball over middle, completes it. Golden Tate, gain of 20 for Golden Tate. Lobs one down the right side. Golden Tate makes the catch, steps away from his man, and is in for the touchdown. One of these contested catches is Golden Tate. Matthew veteran just goes up and takes it away from him.
Now, we're excited about this. We now welcome a very special guest to the show from the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. He became a second-round draft pick for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, he's a Pro Bowl.
At all times.
Hi, Golden.
We now welcome on, covering the Titans for the Nashville, Teresa Walker. You can find her on Twitter at Teresa M. Walker. Teresa, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. How are you all doing?
Doing well.
We are doing great. We're looking forward to coming down to Nashville this weekend, and boy, this should be a really exciting game. So my first question to you, Teresa, is how are you viewing the big running game matchup, Derrick Henry versus, on the other side, the Browns' two-headed monster?
I can't wait to watch this. I mean, let's face it, we've seen Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry in the month of December, well, since he joined the NFL in 2016, no one has more yards or touchdowns than Derrick Henry in the month of December. We've been kind of talking this week here in Nashville, is it, what to call it? I'm calling it D-Henber because, Derrick Henry D-Hen, it's December, so that, I kind of cut through the mess and the chatter. We're going with D-Henber here in Nashville. But let's face it, I mean, when he won the rushing title a year ago, Nick Chubb was right there after him. And if not for Chubb having missed some games this year, it would probably he right behind him again, or maybe have the lead instead of having Dalvin Cook right behind him, second in the rushing yards. So it's going to be fun. And, the Titans are coming off a game where they allowed just 56 yards rushing to Indianapolis, but, there was no Marlon Mack in that game. There was no Jonathan Taylor. So this will be a true test for the Titans defense, but it also will be a test for the Browns defense, who, when I was looking them up, gave up 140 yards rushing to the Jaguars last week. So if I'm a Browns fan, I might be just a little concerned, even with Myles Garrett coming back.
Well, let me ask you about Ryan Tannehill, because even, Baker Mayfield was saying, hey, it's okay to talk about the running backs, but this is a game where, we're going to need all three phases to win. And I think he was sort of saying, don't overlook the quarterbacks in the passing game either. So tell us a little bit about Ryan Tannehill. What's he doing well? picks. How's he doing it?
Well, he's doing it by being very decisive, and he's got lots of help. I mean, he's able to scatter the ball all over the place. I mean, there's been games where he's thrown it to 9 different receivers this year, and now he's got Corey Davis and A.J. Brown playing well together in recent weeks. The first of the season, either one was dealing with an injury, one was out, back and forth, but now they've kind of put a couple of games together where they both had some big moments and big catches, but he gets that ball out quicker. I mean, after having seen Marcus Mariota, and then you see Tannehill back there, he's just getting that ball out so much faster. He knows where he's going, and more crucially, he is putting that ball in positions for guys to keep running once they get it. I mean, you watch A.J. Brown. He took a simple crosser in Indianapolis, 69 yards, because Tannehill put that ball so he could keep running instead of leading him into a defender or out of bounds, and that can make all the difference. And with that, just 4 interceptions. It's a little crazy to look at that. The Titans have 5 turnovers through 11 games. I mean, it's a franchise best, and something that hadn't been done in the NFL for a very long time. So they're taking very good care of the ball, and Tannehill absolutely is a big part of that. And when there's nothing there, he's willing to pull it down and scramble for it. We've seen him run for touchdowns. He had one in Indianapolis, but he's taken off many a time to help keep defenses off balance. So if you pile up to stop Derrick Henry, the Titans, that's okay. They'll go to somebody else.
Now, when you talk about a guy like A.J. Brown, how is he? I mean, we've seen the highlight play for the last couple of weeks, but how has he really kind of helped this offense move forward since he came into the league? And what has he done for this offense?
Dan, he has been the number 1 receiver that they've been searching for literally since they moved to Tennessee. They had Derek Mason, although they didn't really tap him too much until the last few years of his tenure here. They had a Drew Bennett, show up at times, but literally this is the guy that they've been trying to find in the draft for so long. And, he plays, there's a cockiness and confidence when he plays, but when you talk to him, you don't get that in that locker room. For a guy who's 6'1", he just plays so much taller, and once he gets the ball in his hands, he becomes fast. He says, my mindset is once I have the ball in my hands, go score.
The Titans left tackle, David Quessenberry, making his second NFL start. Myles Garrett coming back. What do you make of that matchup?
I won't be surprised if they give Quessenberry some help, because let's face it, this is a guy who, he's been on and off the practice squad. This is a guy who was drafted by Houston in 2013, dealt with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, keeps sticking around, keeps working, and he finally makes his first NFL start in Indianapolis. He's the 3rd tackle to start for the Titans this year, with Taylor Lewan on IR, then his replacement goes on IR, and there's Quessenberry, who's been hanging around, and he now has a chance to earn, to stay there and help them. But this is where it's going to come down on Ryan Tannehill. Get the ball out quick. And with Harrison out, and the questions about Ward, if they can, they can buy him enough time to get down the field against that secondary, this may be an opportunity for Tannehill to show what he can do. He's done a lot of handing off lately. This might be a game where he has to help them win.
Okay, so before we let you go, can you give us what your prediction might be for Sunday?
I don't want to sound like a homer, but looking at a team that is 5th in scoring in the NFL and the offense is clicking now the last game and a half, I'm going to go Titans probably 30-24.
I think that's probably how Mary Kay and I are feeling too. I know I'm kind of feeling like I might end up picking the Titans. I won't speak to Mary Kay though. Teresa Walker covers the Titans and a lot of other things down at National Associated Press. You can find her on Twitter at Teresa Walker. Teresa, thanks for the time.
My pleasure. Thank you both.
Welcome back to Mason Talks. So at multiple points throughout this 2020 Cleveland Browns season, I have heard people say that such and such game is the most important game the Browns have played in a long time. That saying, of course, is arising because the Cleveland Browns are finally winning some football games, and they are finally putting themselves in position to make the playoffs. But in terms of all the games they've played this season, I'm about to literally remake the cliche that I just noted. This upcoming game against the Tennessee Titans, for a multitude of different reasons, might be the most important game the Cleveland Browns have played in like 20 years. And there's multiple reasons why. Now, a lot of it boils down to the situation that the Browns are in and the situation that the Browns have been in for the past, 13, 14, 15 years. But the main reason why, and the main reason why this is a massive game of interest to me, is that this Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns have a chance for the first time since 2007 to become a winning football team. If the Cleveland Browns beat the Tennessee Titans, that means they will have a record of 9 wins and 3 losses. And of course, if you go 9-3, then the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, is you finish the season with a record of 9-7, a winning record, the first winning record that the Browns would have since the season where they were led by Derek Anderson and crew. That is a big deal. That's a big deal for the Cleveland Browns, and that's a big deal for Jimmy Haslam, who, of course, has not seen a winning football team since he bought the franchise in 2012. I really do think that that could be a sort of turning point for the franchise because winning matters, and the Browns have not done a lot of winning in the past long time. I don't even want to put a year amount on it because it's been a long time since the Browns have been a winning franchise. But if they beat the Titans, they will be a winning franchise. And that is very important. But what's almost more important, well, what's definitely more important, if the Browns beat the Titans Sunday, they are basically a shoo-in to make the NFL playoffs. Because in my view, if you beat the Tennessee Titans, every game after that is winnable. And I mean every game on the rest of your schedule would be winnable. After the Browns play the Tennessee Titans, they will be taking on the Baltimore Ravens, which is a game scheduled to be on Monday Night Football the week after, this matchup against the Titans. And I know that Baltimore demolished the Browns in week 1. I know that the Ravens really have owned the Cleveland Browns for a long time. But the Ravens are having a sort of off year right now. Obviously, they really don't have the best record. The Browns have a better record than the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, at best, are going to finish 11-5. And they've been dealing with a lot of injuries all across their roster. The Ravens are a beat-up football team. Obviously, yesterday, in the crazy Wednesday afternoon football matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers, they were missing Lamar Jackson. Robert Griffin and Trace McSorley couldn't get it done, so they lost. Well, you're probably going to see Lamar Jackson, but I still think it's a winnable game. I still think the Browns can beat the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. I really do think that it could happen, especially if the Browns go into that game relatively healthy, and hopefully you'll be able to get Denzel Ward back by that point too. I think that's a winnable game. After that, you're going to take on the Jets and the Giants. You can beat the Jets and the Giants. Absolutely. You can absolutely beat the Jets and the Giants. Nothing more needs to be said about that. And then the season finale for the Cleveland Browns is against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know that right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are sitting at a pretty easy, 11-0. They're undefeated. But if the Pittsburgh Steelers keep this up, that is going to be an absolutely meaningless final game of the season for Pittsburgh. Now, that's not necessarily guaranteed to be the case because the Kansas City Chiefs are absolutely firing on all cylinders, and the Chiefs could be competing for a number 1 seed depending on how a couple of these games crack out for the Steelers, like against the Bills and the Colts. But if the Steelers are undefeated up to that point, that game is going to be pretty close to meaningless, and there's a chance that the Browns could steal it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying the Browns are going to beat the Steelers. I'm not saying the Browns are going to beat the Ravens. But if the Browns beat the Titans today, I would be almost willing to guarantee they finish 11-5. And that's going to get you to the AFC playoffs. It absolutely will. And that would be a big deal. But another factor you have to consider if the Browns beat the Tennessee Titans, that will be a legit victory. And I know you might be wondering, well, what do you mean by a legit victory? What I mean is that if the Browns beat the Titans, that is an AFC playoff team. That is an actual proven team. That's not the Texans. That's not the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's not any of these, B or C level. It's not the Philadelphia Eagles. The Tennessee Titans are a legitimate team. They were in the AFC Championship game last year. They have Derrick Henry. They have Ryan Tannehill. They have Mike Vrabel. They are a legit NFL team. If they make it into the playoffs, they are going to be a Super Bowl contender. And if the Browns beat them, that will be one of their key, signature victories on this season. The Browns beat the Indianapolis Colts earlier in the year. That's a legit victory. The Colts look like a very good football team. But if you can beat the Tennessee Titans, then I think a lot of people are going to stop criticizing the Browns for only beating up on bad teams. I mean, the Browns' 3 losses on the year are against the Ravens, against the Steelers, and against the Raiders. Those are 3 winning teams. Basically, everybody that the Browns have beaten, they've been the schmucks of the league. I mean, you beat the Washington football team when they were still starting Dwayne Haskins. You beat the Dallas Cowboys, who obviously have been a train wreck all season. You beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had Mike Glennon starting. The Browns have played some terrible teams, and, for their credit, they've beaten all of those terrible teams. And, hey, I don't care who the opponents are. 8-3 is 8-3, and that is an incredibly impressive record for the Cleveland Browns and for a rookie head coach in Kevin Stefanski. But if you can go out and put a beat, not even a beat down, I'm not going to, I don't want to hype things up too much, but if you can go out and defeat the Tennessee Titans to move your record to 9-3 and basically guarantee your franchise a playoff spot, the first time they'd be in the playoffs since the early 2000s, that would be an undeniable victory for the Cleveland Browns. That would be the wake-up call to basically the rest of the nation that, hey, the Cleveland Browns aren't messing around. So I don't want to overhype things. I don't want to be cliche. I don't want to overhype things too much to this point. But this Cleveland Browns matchup against the Tennessee Titans this Sunday could be a true turning point in this franchise's history. And by history, I mean the past 20 years, which have been very bad. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the Cleveland Browns' upcoming matchup against the Tennessee Titans? Do you think it is the most important game the Browns have played in the past 20 years? Thanks for listening to the Mason Talk Sports Show. I will see you in my next episode. Goodbye.
All right, now we got a big one. All right, now we got a big one. Got a big. We're talking big here. We're talking running the football. We're talking muddy in the grass and 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Browns at Titans. Titans favored by 6. Over under 53.5. Mike, how you see this playing?
I can't pick the Browns to beat a great team until they prove to us that they can beat a great team. It's that simple. I went all in with the Browns against the Steelers, and what happened? So I've learned the hard way, and I'm willing to be wrong. Browns, prove me wrong. Good for you, good for your fans if you beat the Titans. I'm not going to believe it until I see it happen. I've got Titans 34, Browns 20. Because I think they are going to steamroll the Browns the way they steamrolled the Colts. It's just going to happen that way. And the Browns will still be 8-4. They'll still be on track for the postseason. Everything will be fine. They actually have a chance to beat the Ravens the way the Ravens have been limping lately. And they'll be on a short week coming in to play the Browns next week. So give me the Titans in this one. Easily covering 34-20.
Yeah, I definitely give the advantage to the Tennessee Titans here, too. There's a few reasons. First thing being, we know Cleveland can run the football. We know that. It's a special run offense.
I just don't know if the offense is diverse enough to really stress out the Tennessee Titans, which is a good defense, not a great defense. But the one thing the Titans do have, and like we saw with Baltimore, when they know you're like, oh, you're an all-run team and we can kind of figure out your pass game, they can stop the run, as we've seen. I mean, they can do that. They have a lot of big people on the Tennessee Titan football team. So I think because of that, they'll be able to match up in the run game. And the pass game, lacks creativity. You've heard me say that about Cleveland. It's very basic. It's like your Minnesota Vikings. If the run game doesn't work, it's like, wait, now we're not going to have the bootlegs and the play-action passes, and our drop-back pass game's not very good. I don't know if we can win. So I don't think that bodes well for them. The other side of the ball, Cleveland's defense is to me, it's a good pass rushing unit. They play hard, but it's nothing special. And I think you can run the football on them. There's no doubt about that. Their numbers are skewed. You heard me say this earlier today in the run defense category. They haven't really played very many good running football teams. So it looks better than what it is, at least to me, how I evaluate it on film and things like that. Because of that and all those factors, I'm going Titans 27-17. I think they will handle the Browns and obviously win this game, rather convincingly.
And I hope I'm wrong. I want to see the Browns be successful. It's long overdue for the Browns to be a contending team. It's been 18 years since they've been to the playoffs. I hope they make it. But they got to beat a great team before I think they'll beat a great team.
I hope I'm not wrong. I want to be right every time, and I hope you lose by 10, Cleveland.
Wow. Harsh.
Yeah, I don't care. They're harsh to me when I say something bad about them, so they can deal with it. It's all right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.
Defense. Myles Garrett back. We'll see. What say you about Las Vegas Chris underdog to the Tennessee Titans, who really laid the smackdown last week against Indianapolis? This one looks like DraftKings and Bookmaker both posting sixes, so I'm sure the rest of the market will head that way. Totals in the low 53.5 range. Las Vegas, Chris, I'm going to let you have the floor first here. This one's tough. I think that Cleveland hasn't exactly gotten the respect that they deserve as an 8-3 team, but then I just see them coast through games like they did last week against the Jags. Baker Mayfield, maybe just a little proud of himself, however you want to look at it. This team has a good running game. They have a decent defense. Myles Garrett back. We'll see. What say you about the 5.5-6 with the Cleveland Browns?
Well, to Mayfield's defense, he did turn the ball over 23 times last year, and he's only done it 8 times this year. But as we know, watching the last game, he can't hit the broadside of a barn sometimes.
What?
He has open players. But this is a really interesting game for me because I have people that reach out to me and call me nasty names because I've called both of these teams overrated the entire season. So, but I've been making a lot of money with the clients betting against the Browns. They're 2-5 against the spread, and we're doing well betting against the Titans all year. But this is a really interesting time because this last game, Tennessee came to play against Indianapolis. Indianapolis got hit with COVID and lots of injuries, and the Titans really pounced. They brought the energy, and they're flying high right now. They've got a huge advantage. They have the 3-1 division record against Indy's 1-2. They've got the conference advantage, so they can breathe easy now. And this is one of these examples where a team looks so good. When this line came out at 4, you're like, how can it only be 4? We all know it needed to be higher. So what our eyes tell us is that there's lots of value on Tennessee.
Not being a Cleveland fan, it kind of turns my, Cleveland supporter this season, kind of turns my stomach that I kind of am going to be leaning toward Cleveland here. I'm not sure it's going to be a play yet. I think this line's going to go higher, but Tennessee is not a team that I want to back. They're 1-8 against the spread as a non-divisional favorite. They're in a situation where they don't have to take this game too seriously. I mean, they are going to take it seriously, but they let off the gas a little bit. Cleveland gets Myles Garrett back. As I mentioned earlier, Mayfield does do some things well. And Cleveland's got their number one run offense. And the Titans are going to be missing a key run defender, linebacker Brown. So that helps out Cleveland a little bit. There's the other area that I'm going to be looking at on this is you've got the number 25 D and the number 22 D. Neither one of these teams can really play defense. And in Cleveland, has the benefit of playing these weather games that even improve their defensive stats. Tennessee has the 5th rated offense. Cleveland knows how to move the ball sometime. They're going to be able to run the ball in Tennessee. The total of over 53.5 looks short also. So I'm looking toward Cleveland. I think the line's going to go up. Could even hit 6.5, 7. And I favor the over.
That's really interesting. You think the line's going to go that high? At that point, I may be looking to throw Tennessee in a teaser just to win. Mark, I already know what side you're on. We just got finished filming Bet on It. So I know that you have a barking dog on the Cleveland Browns. But now that you and Chris both seem to like it, I'm really curious to see if I can get to the window with this team. Do you agree with Chris that this is a spot where we wait because we know we may see a 6.5?
Yeah, the line, Tennessee is what the public's going to want. And it's the sample size of last week's games. They're going to look and see that Tennessee ran over Indianapolis. But as we talked about on Bet on It today, Kelly, there were some key injuries to the defensive line for the Indianapolis Colts. You want a full, healthy defensive line when you're facing the Tennessee Titans, and Derrick Henry is the best running back in football, and he's a running back that punishes you. If you look at his stats, he gets better as the game goes on. If you remember, I know, Kelly, you probably weren't even born then, but the great Earl Campbell, whenever he would run the football, his stats got better as the game went on. He had the biggest thighs of any football player I've ever seen, running back-wise, and he just would mow people over. And you got tired of trying to tackle him. And that's what Derrick Henry is and why he's so effective in the fourth quarters of games. But they took advantage of a situation. Also, as Chris pointed out, they have all of the edges now because last week's game was an absolute must-win. It put them in the driver's seat to the division. They control their own destiny now. If they would have lost last week, although they would have only been one game behind the Colts, they literally would have been 2 because they would have lost both regular season meetings, and all of the tiebreakers would have went to the Colts. So they are, use the phrase, and I'm kind of pissed that I didn't use it on Bet on It today. I forgot to throw it in there. They're fat and sassy after last week's win. And couple that with the week before, they went into Baltimore, which was supposed to be a major revenge game for the Baltimore Ravens, and they beat the Ravens in overtime. So here is a team that's flying as high as you can. And then we flip to the other side of the script, and it's the Cleveland Browns. Well, people are looking at the Browns' last 4 games. 3 low-scoring games where the offense didn't do anything, and then the Jacksonville game. Well, they played in 3 monsoons, basically, the last 3 games in Cleveland. The weather was horrible in all 3 games. Whether they were dealing with rain, wind, or snow, all 3 games affected the offenses in there. So their numbers look worse than it is. And then last week, they go on the road and they play Jacksonville. Okay? If you got Tennessee on deck and you got Jacksonville, are you really going to be focused on that Jacksonville game? You have the impression that you just have to show up and you're going to win. Well, they almost got caught losing it. And actually, I love taking teams that have close scares like that because what you get in the next week is full focus. Anybody that thought anything was coming easy got a rude awakening last week, and now you're going to get a good week of practice out of Cleveland, and you're getting an inflated number based on a 1 week sample size, an overreaction. We talked about what the opening line was at Westgate, and it jumped 2 points when they brought the official lines out this week, and yet now the public still doesn't think it's enough. We're seeing it tip to 6 and maybe get to the 6.5. I'm sorry. I'm going to be all over Cleveland everywhere on the port this week, and if I lose it, well, I guess I don't have to read Twitter on Sunday because everybody's going to tell me how bad I suck for taking the Browns. But I'm all over the Browns, Kelly.
That's all right, Marco. They can tweet all three of us and tell us how bad we suck at Las Vegas Chris, at Marco in Vegas, at Kelly in Vegas. Let us know. Let's go Brownies. Make sure you guys head over to our Wager Talk YouTube channel and check out all of our other game previews.
Finally get to watch a Browns game. That means something big. Finally, Brandon has been inching his way towards my corner. It is going to be so
they're
exciting.
finally underdogs, so they might
Cancel
lose,
your
but
weekend
now it's the
plans.
one that counts. I think those are the rules. Oh, my God.
That's what I'm looking for. That kind of attitude, Nick. So let's start right there. Marquee matchup, Browns and Tennessee Titans. Both of these teams are 8-3, guys. Both of them have run-first identities. Both likely headed to the playoffs. But here's the thing. If the Browns really want me and others, but mostly me, let's face it, to take them seriously, and if the Browns really want me and others, but mostly me, to look at their quarterback as a better athlete than a commercial maker, they got to win this game. They have to. Brandon, they've only beaten one other team who currently has a winning record. Prove it to me, right? What is it, shut up or put up? What would a win over the 8-3 Titans say about Baker and the Browns?
It's put up or shut up, but close.
Love it, Jenna. Thank you. Nick, you need to listen to Jenna more. You hear what she said? Her opening was perfect. Jenna, what do you want me to say now? Yeah, I mean, can we go to the next block, please? There's nothing else for me to say. You said it all. They haven't beaten a team with a winning record. Baker Mayfield's having a career low in passing. He's averaging 191 yards a game. That's terrible. He's going against a 28th ranked passing defense, 31st in pressure. So, look, if they get a win, they beat the Tennessee Titans, who's coming off of a big win, and Baker Mayfield throws for over 250 yards, Nick, I think you need to add them to a new tier. Maybe it's the scariest team in the playoffs, maybe. I don't know. Maybe reveal something new. But I need to see them beat the Titans, and I need to see Baker Mayfield throw for over 250 yards when he's only done twice this year.
So just beating the Titans wouldn't be enough. Getting to 9-3, clearly certifying themselves as the third best team in the conference. If they're 6-point underdogs, that would not be enough, right?